Hello and welcome to the PaynePoints podcast party. That is the PaynePoints podcast party. I do love alliteration. This is Flavor Ray, the occupier of seat A on the podcast Tattoo with Children. What you're listening to is a dream of mine. I've always wanted to have a conversation with an audience, and that's what I'm attempting to do tonight. I just like people to watch me talk to other people. Uh, Guys, this is a mic check of an event that we hope becomes a thing. All right, so we started a podcast, Tattoo with Children, and after we started our podcast, other podcasts started kind of popping up, and so we was like, all right,
yes, because no one had ever thought of having a podcast ever.
Look, there were other local podcasts in the city. I'm sure
local ones. Okay.
I had just never heard of them. You know, I just didn't know who they were. And so when I started a podcast, all of a sudden, be like, hey, there are other podcasts. I'm like, really? Where are they? And so podcasts started happening. Or just began being seen by me. And which was fine because what I wanted was more podcasts. That was part of my whole goal for this, is to get more podcasts. Because I want people to talk to. And so we got this idea that if there were other podcasts, then we could get them all in the same room. And then we could all have like a big podcast, like a full 2-hour, 3-hour podcast. I mean, how many podcasts we had. And so this is our effort towards figuring out the logistics, the technicalities of that. And PaynePoints, which is a local problem-solving company.
That's what we do.
Has been generous enough to go ahead and sponsor this party. And this is the result. So tonight you're going to hear a long podcast. You're going to hear us all talk. There will be questions. There will be answers. Maybe there will be games. I don't know. You know, we're going to fly by the seat of our pants. This is the mic check, and I'm the host, so you know I didn't plan. This is just a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun on a Saturday night. And I could use a bit of fun in my life. And so we're going to talk to the the sponsors for tonight at various segments, and we're going to do some Tattoo with Children stuff, probably 2 episodes, I would think, probably an hour apiece. And hopefully you guys just love it. Hopefully you just want to hear more of it. Hopefully that you want to actually be a part of the audience on the next one, because if this goes well, if we figure out how this works, then we're going to open it up to the public for you guys to be the audience. Okay, so right now you're just listening to it on live stream, but if you come down here, then you're a part of the audience. And we didn't advertise it ahead of time. We didn't invite you ahead of time to come down this Saturday because we weren't sure what was going to happen tonight. But next time we're going to be sure. Next time you will be invited. You will get early enough warning when it's going to happen that you can make plans. Come down here and party with us. And when I say party, I mean we have barbecue here.
Yeah, it's great.
We have potato salad. We have drinks. I believe there's alcohol or booze, as the case may be. I heard booze.
Well, I'm sure we can find some.
There's got to be some booze around here somewhere. We're all degenerates. And so, just it'll be a great event going forward where we're going to do this periodically, like every 2 months or something like that. And we're going to get more podcasts in here. Right now, the only podcast we have in the house tonight is going to be PaynePoints and Tattoo with Children. Because our sister podcast, Going Dutch, couldn't make it tonight due to a family emergency. But they have assured me that they really want to be here and that the next time we do it, they definitely will be here. So we'll have probably at least 3 podcasts next time. Hopefully more than that, because I believe there's even more podcasters budding on the vine even as we speak. They're just getting ready to launch themselves. And I don't care if you have 1 episode or 10 episodes or if you haven't even posted anything. If you consider yourself a podcaster, meaning you record your voice on a mic, you're okay by me. You're welcome to this party as a podcast creator. And anybody would be welcome as an audience member. So this is going to be dope. I have a good feeling about it. I'm feeling good about it. We were going to start later than we are now. I decided to get hot early because across me in seat B is not Ben. The Dread Pirate Benjamin is not in this seat. In this seat is instead the vice president of PaynePoints and also the co-host of the Points of Interest PaynePoints podcast, Sarah Harbuck. Now, if you've never known Sarah Harbuck, I've known Sarah Harbuck for a long time. She is an old friend of mine, an old classmate of mine. And if you look at her, she is the archetypical blonde bombshell. Okay? Like, I'm talking hot as fuck.
Oh, wow. That's a great endorsement, right? Thanks.
It's just a thing. And so when I noticed, she came up here and she's dolled up, and I'm like, all right, she's taking this seriously. We should talk to Sarah without even mentioning Ben, because this is what the people want.
Ben who?
Exactly. So Sarah,
Yes.
you're looking lovely tonight.
Well, thank you. Every now and then I try not to dress like a hobo when I leave my house.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the good people out here who may not know what PaynePoints is, what they do, and what the Points of Interest podcast is all about.
So Mike started PaynePoints a while back, and it's kind of evolved over the years. And right now, its main focus is helping businesses kind of sort out problems. I mean, we're not business experts by any stretch of the imagination, but we do have some experience, and we want to start a discussion with other people who have started small businesses and, flesh out some ideas and troubles that everybody has and common problems that everyone kind of faces, and kind of also help anybody with like social media marketing, which seems to be a struggle for a lot of businesses, but it's really essential in today's world.
Right.
And the other part of PaynePoints is software development and the contracts that Mike has on the technical side of things. So, Cliff's Notes version, that's basically what we got going on.
And let me just say, this is a service that is dreadfully needed. I know in this town, but probably in many towns.
Yeah.
You start a small business, you get your money together, you get your idea together, you got your feelings in the right place, you got your headspace, and then you have 10 problems that nobody told you was going to happen.
Yeah.
20 problems nobody told you were going to happen. You have no idea. So you start asking for advice, and everybody's like, well, here's what we did. So it doesn't work for me. You're selling guns, I'm selling mocha. This doesn't work. And, you end up drowning in all of these minutia details, and so you start losing track of the thing that you love about small business in the first place.
Yeah.
Mike and Sarah, their entire focus on this company, on the small business side, is to talk you through those moments, get you the action plans, the action steps, so that you can get back to the thing that you actually like doing, which is the reason why I started a small business.
And so many times most small businesses try to do, like the owners try to do everything themselves.
Right.
And one of our biggest things is, like, delegate out some stuff. You're going to have to spend some money, hire some people to help you, because it's too much. It's too encompassing sometimes to try to do every avenue of all the things that you have to do as a business owner to be successful. So, sometimes you just need somebody to tell you that.
Yeah, you just need a sober voice.
Yeah,
like a sober friend while you're in your drunk business mind. So yeah, this is a service that PaynePoints offers, and you guys have a lot of content that you offer for free. We see a lot of like videos, a lot of little tidbits on Instagram. There'll be just a question with a caption answer. Which you add them all up together. It gets to be a pretty good bit of knowledge that is there free of charge. And you also do the podcast. What's on the Points of Interest podcast? What do you guys talk about there?
So it's kind of evolved over the last couple months. We thought that the format of finding questions on Reddit from the small business subreddit and kind of addressing the issues that are brought up in those questions and kind of applying them to our own experience. And then as listeners, out there, like, hey, if you've got a business and you've had this particular issue,
right, this
is how we would suggest dealing with it. And also, why don't you share your experience with us and tell us so that we have a wider scope of knowledge. So it's mostly a 10-minute segment 5 days a week. Where we answer a question that we found online or one that we posed ourselves or someone has asked us, and, try to give our experience, which is really all we can do. We're not PhDs in business, but, sometimes experience is the greatest teacher. So
I know one of the other services that Mike's offers is resume building, right?
Yes.
If you have trouble, if you're hunting up a job, and you're trying to change careers, or you're just out of college, you're not sure where to go next, Mike can help you with that too.
Yeah, especially in the, it doesn't encompass like kind of everything that someone does. I think a lot of people go into school and they want their only goal in mind is to come out with something to help them make a living. And they choose something they might be interested in and they go through it and they get to the end, they're like, okay, I have the knowledge. I should be getting my job, my career now. I should be starting that. But then you get out there and realize you still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And that can be very hard. So resume building and literally going out to campuses, college campuses, and telling them what it's like in a real world, not just from a software development perspective, but working in corporate America. Because a lot of people go to college, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go work in corporate America.
Yeah.
I know when I graduated college the first time, I was very much had no idea how to get a job with my degree. Like that, it didn't. I knew it was something I needed to know, but
And
the steps
ironically, they
involved,
don't teach you that in college.
They don't teach you that at all in college. It's very, very weird. It's all right. You just graduated. Where you could, like literally you sign your name at the bottom of a sheet. It's all right. You'll walk here on this day. It's all right. What happens after that? Then you go home. They well, can I come back to the apartment? And no, no, you're done. You're out.
See you later.
Do I get to keep my email? Nah, I don't think you need that.
Well, the good thing now is if you do online school, they usually like keep your email around and you can use it for all that free stuff. Yeah. Don't knock online school. I went to online school.
Hey, I did online for a while too, dude. Don't.
Oh,
no.
the academic flavor
No.
Ray is messing with us.
Here's like I taught online school. It ain't great.
Guys,
We're gonna listen. But this is a good point right now to go ahead and mark as a demarcation between. That was our word from our sponsor, the PaynePoints and the Points of Future podcast, and we're now getting hot as fuck with Tattoo with Children. Mike, do I need to keep my music or is it already going?
Oh no! There is no more music. We're doing this live.
We're doing it all live. Like yeah. I would like it if there was a music, like when I listen back to it, if there was like a little musical intro to like get me like pushed into a different mindset. Like just give him a little something. You can play it through the headphones. Give him a little something.
Give me a little
he
something.
He needs a red carpet and some
yes,
glitter
exactly.
guns or something.
Okay, all right, hang on. This is gonna take me a second.
It's got.
He needs some gold chains and a
See,
big old goblet.
This is the reason why we do the mic check.
Flavor Ray and rhinestones.
This is the reason do it. Like that's a good pimp cup.
I'm gonna have to get you a pimp cup, aren't I?
A straight up Flavor Ray pimp cup. See, this is the reason why I got Sarah on here. She know what I need already.
Well, we've been friends for a long time, man.
What up, Bo? Yeah, give me that pimp cup.
All right, hang on. Let's see if this goes.
We got a food thief.
All right, let's see if it happens.
Oh, it's happening right now. You just can't hear it because I don't have it in the headphones.
Okay, dope.
Yeah.
Let me know when the phase is.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the tour is a normal placement. Tattoos.
Good Lord, yo, that was my theme music. What up, this Tattoo with Children? I am so excited to be a part of this party. I am your host of Tattoo with Children, Flavor Rain. Seat A across me and seat B is the lovely Sarah Harbuck. And across from us both is the man of the hour, without whom this would not be possible. At least we wouldn't have as much brisket.
Yeah, right.
CIO No Pain. Guys, we brought like 2 briskets. One of them's 15 pounds, one of them's 18 pounds. And like we up here, we split them and started slicing, and we're like, all right, we got like 6 people in here to eat.
Well,
who wants to take home an 18-pound brisket? we got like 40 pounds of brisket and 2 racks of ribs.
That is not a question that isn't getting an answer. Just by the way,
no, yeah.
right? So
y'all were talking about that earlier with the meat sweats, and
yeah,
you're going to eat yourself into a meat coma in a minute.
The audience has to know.
I'm ready for that.
Right? I knew exactly when I was going to do this. I knew exactly where to go. At Triple the H on
IG.
Instagram, Hunter Hale. Thank you so much for staying up all night last
delicious.
night
It was so
and
good.
cooking these briskets. It is not a question of who wants to take home, some of this brisket. Every single person in this room
We're
ate,
all getting a lot
and
of
they want to
brisket.
take it home too. That's how
Because
good it
here's the
is.
thing, Hunter. I saw Hunter earlier when I dropped up the briskets, and the man is like if you ever seen Hunter, he weighs probably about $170. If you put 70 pounds of weights in his pockets, I mean he is literally one of the slightest people I've ever seen, but he just pulls all his energy into this food, and he was just exhausted. I mean, about to fall over on his face when he dropped those briskets off. So he put in a lot of effort into this, and the effort is in the taste.
Well,
you
it
can taste
paid
how
off.
much.
I mean, oh my God, it
Man,
was so good.
he put his foot in that bitch, and it is good. It is good as hell. So, Hunter, you are one of my favorite people in the world. I want you to know that. And as soon as he is making an effort, he's taking the steps necessary to do it the right way and start his small business so that it has a chance for success. His small business will be a barbecue restaurant in Lufkin, Texas, from my understanding currently. If that plan continues on, Lufkin, Texas will be much the better for it. I certainly hope this is what happens. I will do everything in my power, certainly, to encourage that result, because this meat is something I don't want to eat all the time, and I want to pay for it. So right now, Mike's paying for it, and I like that too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I like it when Mike pays for things.
Yeah, I'm not all about going Dutch. I don't mind.
We're gonna dig on that.
I don't mind to be the paid for party. You know, that's cool with me.
So typical.
It's not. It's like this is okay. So we got a lot to get into. To tell you the truth, like I don't get Sarah very often. Because we're all busy. You know, we got kids and jobs and all this. We don't get together very often. But Sarah has some of the best viewpoints and strongest opinions of any person I've ever met. And
I think
it is
you're the
so
only person
fun.
who thinks that, actually.
I don't understand why I was the only person. Like, you are just fantastic to talk to. And like, for example, I'm just gonna kick off one right now. The reason I got these mics hot so early was because somebody mentioned we mentioned Iran,
Right.
which led to Canada, which led to the royal family. And this is where Sarah lit up when we got to the royal family, because the royal family's got a little bit of a turmoil problem right now, right? Some internal strife. If you're not aware, they're
Prince Harry.
mixed princess
Oh, you were going
that-
a whole other direction with
that
that.
married her Prince Charming
Mixed princess.
has resulted in mixed results, if you can believe that.
Oh boy.
It didn't all work out all like the storybooks do. I mean, yeah, they got the marriage and the big house and the money and the pregnancy and got some kids, but they're not all happy, apparently, and they're leaving England
When they're leaving the royal family, apparently.
and they're leaving the royal family.
They've
They
dropped
left.
their title.
They've
They're
dropped
no
their
longer
title.
referred to as His or Her Royal Highness.
That's amazing that a person would do that. Like it's
Yeah,
like that
seriously.
that just tells you how difficult it is for a outsider to understand what the royal family is like. Because you look at the royal family from the outside, you're like, of course you want to be a prince or a princess or a duke or a duchess and so on and so forth. Actually, I think they're still duke and duchess, right? Because they keep their holdings.
Well, that was a title granted to them by the queen, and only she can take that away.
Yeah, they're keeping their holdings. They keep their real estate, but they don't get the like. There's like a 5% stipend, I guess.
For their public
being-
engagements and
yeah,
what have you. Yeah.
like they're canceling that. So if you're feeling sorry for them because they're not prince and princess, fuck that.
Just don't.
They're rich as
I
fuck
don't-
and are going to stay that
I
way.
can't feel sorry for them at all. First of all, Harry was born into this family. He knew
Right.
what the requirements were.
Correct.
He's lived in this in his entire life. Now, granted, he's
And
had
he's
some.
and he still went and sexed up a black chick. You know, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking.
Oh, she's half black.
One, this is a break we're talking
or
about.
not even- maybe-
One drop.
and
It
she
was
may not even be
okay.
half
Stains the
black.
whole barrel.
It was okay once Barack Obama was elected president.
Half black man,
I don't know
right,
if it
right.
was. I don't know if it was. Like,
now-
they didn't love this situation from the very beginning. Like I'm not saying that they're racist.
Oh, you mean
but
like them getting married?
Yeah.
People didn't like it.
they didn't like it from the very beginning.
I think it was because it reminded them of King Edward is it the 7th or the 8th that abdicated the throne, and that's why King George took over, and Queen Elizabeth even became Queen of England.
Yeah, that was her uncle, right?
So it goes back to that
Uncle Edward.
when her uncle abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry an American divorcee socialite.
Yeah,
okay?
that,
So there was some,
that is what
there
happened.
was some similarities there. I feel like that probably
They probably saw some red flags.
felt that kind of felt very similar.
They probably
you
saw some
know.
red flags. But
You know how that conversation went, right? Like Elizabeth's hackles went up, right? When she
Yeah.
heard the news, right? Because we've all watched The Crown, so we know what that looks like. Where she's no longer relaxed. She's now just
You
rigid.
mean about Harry and Meghan getting married?
Right.
Have
and
we
then,
all watched The
And
Crown?
then Philip comes in.
have.
Yeah.
My wife,
If
no,
you haven't,
my wife,
you
no,
should.
and
It's actually really good.
I've watched my wife.
It's
but
an
if,
amazing
if
show.
my wife didn't watch it, I wouldn't watch it.
Like
I wouldn't have seen it.
I
Look,
would.
it's a great show. Don't get me wrong. It's a
Yeah.
great show, but it's
Just not your
one
bag.
that. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone looking
like,
for
he
it.
wouldn't have chose to watch it, right?
Yes.
But I'm glad that I did watch it. I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah,
right?
okay. Yeah,
But
I was making sure they
she
were on the
gets-
same page.
She gets all like hackled up and like staunting, Queen Elizabeth, right?
Well, okay, first of all, we should probably point out that this is a fictional telling of historical events.
Yeah, in other words, they didn't take interviews with Queen Elizabeth to make
Right.
this show.
So we
but
don't know
they're
if that's
like,
how she responded.
from what
per se.
we've seen and of the Queen and from the documents and some interviews, people not quite close enough to get in trouble for this, making this show. They've sort of dramatized how this likely went on,
Yeah,
in line with her personality, in
Yeah.
line with the players involved.
I'm basing this next piece of that whole situation purely on what we know publicly about Prince Philip.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
she gets her hackles up, and Prince Philip probably leans over and goes, "Well, at least she's not a divorcee."
Yeah, I mean, literally.
Except that she was.
He's one of the most cynical fuckers ever, if you believe The Crown. He's like,
Dude.
Philip he's like my favorite person.
He has no
or
filter,
perhaps-
though. And apparently,
None.
in real life, that's how he was. He just said whatever he wanted.
I love that.
Thank God it's 20 whatever the year was, right?
Right.
Because this was 60 years ago. It wasn't going to happen.
No, surely not.
So yeah, he figured out that black and berry sweeter juice, and he decided, you know what? I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to, I'm royalty, but they can't control my life. They certainly can't control my dick. I can, so why can they? And yeah, things happen. Bada boom, bada bing. We've got ourselves a Nubian princess. Well,
What's a
she-
Nubian?
Not even going. Ben
God.
is not here for his geography lesson, so we're gonna skip the geography lesson.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have to accept that. So she got into the situation the way that I would. Okay, like if a princess came up to me and was like, "Man, you are sexy, big, handsome. Like I like everything about you. Marry me and I will make you a prince. I'll give you all the money and holdings and the power of the crown." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm married already, but you know what? We could fix that." And
Jeez.
it's royalty. It's royalty. That's how we think about it in America. Like we think about kings, queens, and things as being these things that are up on
guess,
a
but
pedestal.
because being a little bit of an Anglophile and like kind of keeping up with their family and
Yeah.
what goes on, because I'm a weirdo that way, I'm like, there's no way in hell. If for some reason I happened to run into Prince William back in the day and he's like, "Let's get married," I've been like, hell no. But have a good
Yeah.
life.
Really? That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Like maybe it's just the guys look at it that way.
I don't
Because
know. I
like,
think I'm
because
probably
I've
just a
seen-
strange person.
Well, I've seen a lot of girls though. They're like, you know what? I wouldn't have married Prince Charles. It's like, really? You wouldn't have? Well, his teeth, his nose. I'm like,
He's British.
what the fuck do you care?
The teeth and the nose don't bother me. It's those ears, man. He could take flight.
The ears.
They could take flight.
So, but Megan got into it the way that I would, like in
sort
in
of
other
fell
words,
into it
said,
accidentally?
Said, look, it's royalty. We'll give it a shot. Fuck it. Like, am I gonna tell my grandkids that when they're dukes and duchesses that I could have been that too? No, I'm just gonna fucking go do it. So she marries him and they do the whole thing. And I remember looking at the wedding and the look on his face during the ceremony where he's just like, "You're you're so beautiful. I'm so lucky to be here. And she's like, okay, take it easy. This is still a little weird, but you're so gorgeous. Okay, calm down. Like, they were on two different wavelengths.
Yeah.
He was completely smitten and falling over himself, and she was like, I just need to get through today.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get through this. I'm pregnant,
Oh, was she
my
pregnant?
feet hurting. When she pregnant before the wedding? I believe so.
I'm fuzzy on the timeline there, but I think it was like right after she got pregnant.
It was pretty soon after. Like, it wasn't like she wore her regular dress. I think she was already pregnant. I could be wrong about that. Like, I've been wrong about shit before. I don't really care. In this story, she was pregnant.
You're probably wrong.
In this story, she was knocked up
He
on
was
her
wrong
feet.
about impeachments, so he's
And
probably
there
wrong
was
about this, too.
there was a shotgun. I've never been wrong about impeachment. That's completely incorrect.
Oh dear.
At any rate, she's pregnant and she's trying to get through this day. And her mother, the queen, is giving her that look, like, get him under control. Like, they've had this conversation. You can tell that's what's going through her mind. She said you would do this. Stop doing this. So do not cry. Do not keep a stiff upper lip. Be British, bitch. We got to do this. And I just knew watching that this wasn't going to end well. Like, she was not going to be able to maintain that decorum for the rest of her existence, because that's what you're signing up for.
Right. I mean, she was a pseudo celebrity, and you would think that would kind of prepare you a little bit for that world. But
I
apparently,
don't
she
think it
wasn't
does.
celebrity enough
I
to
don't
understand.
I don't think anybody has ever prepared to be president. I don't think anybody's ever prepared to be to be the focus of a generation's thoughts on royalty.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like, dating someone like that, putting yourself in a position to even get asked out by this guy, wouldn't that kind of be floating around in the back of your mind? Like, oh, this could be my life, and maybe this is not what I want for my life. Like, so why would you continue to pursue it?
I think it did. I think it did
So the
occur to her.
money and the titles and everything was a greater thing.
But he was like, no, baby, you know how dudes are. Like, how many times you been talking some dumb shit by your husband?
More times than I can count.
You know what? like that's one of the main problems with my life is, like, I've talked my wife into too many dumb ideas. And so, like, we get into it and it's like, damn, this didn't work at all. And I'm like, oh, well, it didn't work. And she's like, what the fuck? You said it would work. I didn't know it was going to work. You didn't know, bitch? I'm like, no, I didn't know. But you told me it was going to work. I know, I tell you a lot of things. I needed to get you on my side. I'm just trying to say some shit.
I don't really feel like she was so completely innocent in her doe-eyed. I didn't know it was going to be this way. I'm sorry. I'm not even a celebrity, and I can tell you that there's no way in hell I would want that kind of scrutiny on my life.
I mean, all you got to do is just watch King Ralph, and you know
Really?
See, that's what I'm
what's
saying.
going on.
I know, but he didn't know. Like, you never know. Like, in King Ralph.
You never know. You can see and watch it
King
happen
Ralph.
to other people and go, that is not something. There is no way in hell I would ever want that for my life. You don't have to, like...
I think there's a fair point to be made in, like, you can see it and go, oh, look, pomp and circumstance. I like attention. That'd probably be fine, right?
Right.
It's all the bullshit you don't fucking see.
Okay, but
There's
hang on,
so
hang
many
on.
things that aren't there.
To be fair, well, she's not that much younger than us.
No, not
But
really.
we grew up in the age of Princess Diana,
Yes.
okay? And I remember when her and Prince Charles got divorced and just how she was catastrophically more famous than him and so scrutinized and the press constantly hounding her. And then she was killed, and I remember what a
Yeah.
big deal that was. And
Right.
I don't know. I feel like watching all of that, and she's not that much younger than us, so she kind of grew up in the same era as well. It's like, did you not see what his mother went through? And how that changes your life. Like,
But
come on.
she was on such a higher plane than all the other royals at the time. I mean, even today, Princess Diana is like the standard as far as the good royal. I mean, you don't put, what's her name, Katie? You don't put Katie in the same sentence as Diana. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think what happened was that she presented a very public persona that was very well loved,
Yes.
and very well, like, embraced. And don't get me wrong, Diana did a ton of really good humanitarian things and really brought attention to some issues at the time that were not getting paid attention to.
She also used her own flaws for that effect.
Right.
I mean, she was very famously bulimic.
Right. And she
You
she
know-
was not like she was flawed. She was not a perfect individual, and she had a
Yes.
lot of issues and got married to a man she probably never should have married and stayed in the marriage way longer than she should have. Things like that. And
Yeah.
everybody kind of victimized her, but at the same time, in reading up on some stuff and then watching The Crown, granted it is a fictional retelling, you kind of start to go, yeah, Prince Charles was an asshole for having an affair, but I can kind of see now where his line of thought was. And he was
Sure.
put in an impossible situation.
He was in a rough one, no doubt about it.
Of course you're an adult, you can make your own choices, but watching the thing with Princess Diana just kind of should tell anyone in our generational category what kind of hell you go through when you have that kind of position and when you're married into that kind of family. Even after she got divorced, she still was the most famous woman in the world,
But
and that
how
comes
many-
with so many pressures and so many
How many people ran on the Democratic ticket this last season so far?
I think we were up to what, 18 or
No, it was like 20, 22, I want to say.
my God in heaven.
22, 24, 26. Like that many people decided that they want to try to become president,
They're all insane.
even though they watched at least Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, another Bush, and Barack Obama all age 20 years in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like age
You have to
5
be a little
times
bit
faster than a
insane.
human being.
You have to be a little insane to want
Supposed
that
to
job.
age. It makes no sense
little
to
bit.
anybody ever wants to be president, but
Yeah.
people still want to be president because they don't know. They still don't get it. Like that's what I'm saying. From
I
the
think-
outside, you
and some of
cannot
it-
tell.
Some of it could be tied into the whole power, attention,
Well, yeah, everybody loves
ego
power.
thing.
Chicks love power,
Yeah.
and so that makes the dudes want to stick out their chest and be, But then again, you have that thought is okay, I want power to get prestige, and then you get into the job and realize you don't even have time to fuck all the chicks that want to fuck you. Like literally, you have to get head from the intern that's in the hallway because you're just too goddamn busy for otherwise. It's very goddamn frustrating.
And then you get impeached for that.
And then then the bitch hangs
Yeah,
you with it.
back when getting impeached because you were a bad moral person was a thing.
Was a thing that could happen.
Now, not so much. You can be a total shitbag human being and still
I
be
mean,
president.
dude, like
Oh God.
Clinton splooged on a dress, and he has to face the Senate trial. I know. That doesn't make any goddamn sense if you put it.
I mean,
into
it makes
context.
him a shitty husband. It makes him a shitty man. But did it make him a shitty president? I don't know. He lied about it. Probably shouldn't have done that. But you think about this other thing that's currently happening, and you go, that one of these things is not like the other.
He was a pretty awesome president. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he led the strongest economy I've ever personally been a part of, and he led it for 8 full years. So I don't have anything to say bad about Bill Clinton as a president. As a person, yeah, he's lacking.
Yeah.
At
yeah.
the kind way to say that he's lacking. but there's just a lot of things about jobs like that. Princess, king, queen. You cannot understand going in. Like even Meghan and Harry.
Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Meghan and Harry in this situation, they decide it's too much. They're going to move, give up all their royal stuff, cut their ties, and move to a place where they can actually be people, famous, rich, but still people. And so they pick Canada. And it turns out that even Canada is like,
No
what?
thanks.
Because there are things that you just don't think about. You would think that you could just, hey, I've
Move
got
anywhere?
money.
Yeah.
I've got money, and I've got a passport. I want to live in your country. Is that possible? It's like, yeah, we would need to put a lot of money into security around you. We're not prepared to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think the Canadians were like, wait a second, hang on. I thought if we made the Queen the figurehead of our government,
That we would never have to do
we
with
would
it.
never
that
have
they
to
would
actually
just stay
see
the
her.
fuck over there.
That was the agreement. We agree that you
They should've just done
that
like
we're
us.
under the crown.
We'll
and
say
you
God
just-
save the Queen, okay?
Right, and you stay
We'll
over
put you on our
there.
She'll stay on our
coinage.
money and our stamps, but I mean, I don't know. What we were talking about before, I saw some friends of mine on Facebook commenting about, she's just had such a rough go of it and they've treated her so bad. And to be fair, the British tabloids have been brutal to her.
They have.
However.
But that's not because of what she did or what she didn't do. It's because
They're British tabloids.
Well, it's because they're British tabloids,
Yeah.
but also because of Princess Katie. And those two don't get along.
Well, okay, so maybe. But see, I feel like a lot of the media shit always pits women against each other, even if they don't have a problem with each other, because
Does the
it
media
sells
do that?
papers.
Does the media do that?
Yeah, I think they do.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I think they do.
You're going to look at me and
The
say the
media-
media is the one that pits women against women?
No, the media will pit anybody against anybody if they think it'll create a
But
controversy
in
that'll
this
sell papers.
specific instance, you've got, the future queen consort of the country, and then you married the one that married the spare. They're gonna do that. They're just gonna do it.
You got the one that married the spare.
The spare.
Well, that's what he was.
That is so fucked up on Harry.
Well,
I'm
no,
sorry,
but
buddy.
for real, like all the kids that are the second born,
You are literally.
it's shit for them. Like, come on,
I thought they had the better deal, actually. You ain't got to put
Yeah.
with none of the horse shit.
Well, yeah, you think.
You just get the bitches and money.
You think so? You think?
You know what I mean? It's like, I thought that would be a great deal. Like, he's like, what, sixth in line? How many kids does
he's sixth or seventh at this point.
He's way down the line. It's not even a risk for them to give up all the royal stuff. They didn't really give up much of anything.
It is true that the name Harry is very similar to the name Ralph.
That is true. That is true.
I could put Harry and Ralph
Ralph
in
in
the
the
same.
same-
it's
in
the
the
same
same
thing.
category.
Sure.
I mean, so like they can't even move. I don't think she knew that. I don't think she knew that if she went to England as the princess, that she would be more or less trapped there, just from a security standpoint. Like, I don't think she knew. Like, I
mean,
didn't
then
know
she's
that.
stupid. Oh my god,
How
that's
are you, like,
retarded.
trapped there? Like,
Who's gonna tell her that? Who's gonna be like, hey, before you marry him, just understand, once you go here, you can't live out of England.
But that should be like kind of like, do any of the rest of them live outside of England? No. So like by just pure history and
There's a
precedent.
reason why
But
they
you-
have like 16 palaces
They have,
in
like,
the country.
Exactly.
But you think it's because they live in castles. Like, I was like, why don't they live in some, because who wants to live in a goddamn flat in the middle of Flatbush Avenue when you got a goddamn 16-room castle to live in? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right. I
So,
mean,
like from the outside, that's what I would say. It turns out, no, they can't. They're trapped in the castle because otherwise somebody might try to kill them and no one else wants to take the responsibility. Is Seattle going to take the responsibility? You move to Seattle and you get sniped? Like, they don't want to. They don't want to shoulder that. Look what happened to Paris. She was just on vacation. Prince Anne was on vacation, taking a date with her boyfriend, gets killed, and now Paris is known for. Remember that time when Diana splattered on the side of the road in Paris? Fucking frauds can't do shit right, man.
but I mean, that's not wrong.
It's,
They also towed my fucking car, assholes.
see,
It's Paris. That was the first. There you go.
I mean, it's
I should've known.
my only point is that I think people are very hard on Meghan. I think they're very hard on Meghan for two reasons. One, I do think there's some racism at play here.
Oh, I'm sure
Even-
there is.
I think there's a good bit of racism in play here. Two, I think that it's because she didn't know everything going into the situation, and when she learned it, she didn't accept it immediately. She didn't say, okay, I'll just adjust. Yes, I will listen to you, Queen Mother. Yes, like none of that shit played with her.
Right.
I think that was so. It's like, well, you're rejecting our royal way of doing things. She's like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people don't like that. And three, I think because she's female. And I think that the people that don't like her being female are other females. Fight me.
I mean, from the get-go, I thought it was a little weird how just like whirlwind fast this all took place. And supposedly,
Did you see the look on his face at that wedding?
yeah, I know.
He would have married her that night.
I mean, she probably put cocaine in her vagina. He's addicted.
Dude.
I don't know. Like, it seemed weird.
She has astronomical sex powers. Because he
Apparently.
was done. I mean, done.
So I feel like so much there is a lot of suspect in my mind personally, just based on watching everything play out.
And you'll believe all of that because there's a woman involved, and you don't really.
It could have been.
You
It
don't
could have
trust
been the other
women.
way. Prince Harry could have been a princess and marrying a dude. I feel the same fucking way. It doesn't matter to me.
I don't think you would. I don't think I'll put that out there right now. I do not think if the sexes were reversed, I do not think that you would feel the same way.
What does that matter?
Like
What
I
does her
believe
being a female
I
matter to
believe-
me in this instance?
I believe that if this was a man who had is like, look, I am. Yes, she is royalty, but I'm the head of this family. I have business in Canada, and that's what we're gonna do. I think that everyone would be like, "Wow, he's a strong guy. Be able to stand up to the queen and take want to take care of his family. He's gonna stand on his own 2 feet. He doesn't want that much of their money. This is a guy that all guys should be like. I think that would be the story. If it because she's female, it's the exact fucking opposite. I believe this fully.
That wasn't the point I was making, actually, but okay.
No,
We're going to take it there. Let's take it there. I don't think that they moved there because she has business over there.
No,
I think
they didn't.
She wanted to move over there because she wanted to get the fuck away, and she's got him wrapped around her finger, and he'll do whatever the hell she wants.
And I think that's the same thing that they're reversing to be the same truth. It'd just be a different story told in the media.
I think if the sexes were reversed and I saw it, I'd be even more concerned because I'd be like, what the hell is going on here? Systematically separating this guy who'd been super close to all of his family, at least what we were presented with. Perhaps it's all been lies. And,
No, I think he was
and
close to him.
separates him to another continent.
In fact, I think he's still close to them.
And does all this other stuff. I'd be like, okay, this seems like so close to what a typical abuser would do when they separate their love interest away from all of their friends and family. That's what it looks like, you know? And if
So
this were a
it's-
dude,
so,
it would be
okay.
even worse.
So looking at it from the outside looking in, this situation, you see this pattern that they're exhibiting right now as being like the isolation pattern of the spiritual abuse situation.
I think if I look at the entire history of their relationship, and I'm watching the things how they unfold and the timing of these supposed feuds and this, that, and the other, it makes me wonder because she has a shit relationship with her own family.
Let me ask you this: was their relationship whirlwind? Like, was it fast, or do we just think it was fast?
I mean, it's possible it seems whirlwind because they announced it to the public right before they got engaged. So apparently they'd been dating maybe a year before that, I think is what I read. Granted, this is all gossip. We don't know for sure any of the timelines or anything. We just see what's printed and what's being put in front of us. So I can't be 100% certain. But based on the things that have been presented to me, what my eyes can see, what I can read, there does seem to be a bit of a pattern here. She has a crap relationship with her own family, has alienated everybody over there, didn't really have any friends, and then all of a sudden she's going to marry this prince dude, and all these people come out of the woodwork, celebrities, and like, oh my God, we've been friends forever, and like, what? No, I don't think you were. It just seemed like there's it seems to me that this sort of she took advantage. Hey, this dude who's super rich and he's a royalty.
You think she took advantage of him?
I don't think she took advantage. I think she took advantage of the situation of he was interested in her, and it's like, oh wow, I'm gonna have this whole other great life, and it'll elevate me.
Wow.
Because she was on a show that nobody fucking ever watched. Like the Suits, I'd never
Wow.
even heard of it before.
Oh,
when people were like, she's an actress, and I started seeing this stuff come up in the media that he was dating this woman, I was like, actress on what? I'd never heard of this show.
Man.
So, I'm thinking I'm an actress, and my career's not going that great, and I meet Prince Harry, and he's interested in me. Hell yeah, you're probably going to take advantage of that, don't you think?
I just view her as being not necessarily essentially naive, but in finding a person that she felt that she could be with, and which is what everyone's looking for. She can't be faulted for that, and then not knowing the full scope of what she was signing up for.
Yeah.
It's
maybe.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she schemed this from the very beginning and said, "No, I've got him. I've got him now."
Even if she didn't, I don't really feel that sorry for people like this. It's like, come on. I feel like there's all kinds of examples out there for them to look at and see, especially for the royal family of England. Maybe some of those lesser royal families in the rest of Europe, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, the lesser.
There's two left.
The lesser known, I should reword that. Lesser
fuck those Habsburgs.
known.
They ain't got shit going
Was
on.
it like Denmark or Belgium or something like that still has a royal family?
Yeah,
and something like that? And
Well, a
one
lot of
other.
them do. Monaco,
In
Greece, all of them.
Isn't there a royal family in Switzerland? Am I wrong about that?
No, yeah. Sweden.
Wow, there's a lot more royal families.
Yeah, there's a
than I
lot.
thought.
There's actually a lot. They're lesser known ones because everybody knows Queen Elizabeth. Could you name some of the other royal heads of state in all those other countries? I sure couldn't.
But I don't follow that shit at all. To tell you the truth, in other words, I know about Meghan and Katie and all that shit from Twitter. I'm just like strictly Twitter.
So what you're saying is the other royal families need to up their Twitter game.
Like, well, if they want to be known, like I
Yeah.
don't think they necessarily want to be known.
They're probably
I think,
smart then.
I think they pushed everything onto Buckingham Palace because, like, you guys take the hit for all of us. you just ride this shit out for Europe while the rest of us, they'll
You
just,
guys are pros
Well, I
at
think
ducking
no.
the
See,
coverage.
I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of that, them being well known, it goes back to the imperialistic days when they took over the goddamn world. Like that's England is like that.
the sun never sets on the British Empire, neither do the tabloids.
Exactly. No, seriously.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to get back with more Tattoo of Children, but in a slightly different way.
For my face, yeah, that battle was a product of my morals vacant. Turns out, don't confuse it with a turn up. Ain't a veggie I can see unless you count the burnt blunts. Burn up, I can do this Ric Flair stuff. You consider stir tough, I can never care enough. Care 11 kind of trouble when we're paired up. Apparently the fair started early, grab a bear stuff. My gears, clutch, and motor are all a rare cut. Basically with blood diamonds, ain't that hard to sell up.
My name ain't Mikey, but yeah, I rock. You know why? Cause I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter whether I'm cool or not. Just a taste of the word gives me the gut rock. It's not pop to just stop like a blood clot. Cause we're here to blow up like we came from Iraq. Electronica, embezzled by hip hop. Here to kick ass until the heart stops. Hipsters put on their cool shades. And thrifters keep the money they've been paid. And drifters have nothing to say but mind lifters. Don't give a damn what they say.
Wait, undeceivable, shit's unbelievable. You never ever guessed you'd hear this mix, it's inconceivable. Ouch, too hot, baby, back out of the kitchen. This is what you love at Wonderful, so daddy, quit your bitch. I'm a poisonous affliction with a fireball addiction, man. It burns like hell and tastes like heaven. You say bold, itching. Now I got you campus itching. This is music for your children. If you never heard the cue before, you don't know what you're missing.
Hey!
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest in the quarters, all present, better lose a box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest in the quarters, all present, better lose a box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest in the quarters, all present, better lose a box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest in the quarters, all present, better lose a box. I carry the club like Neanderthal, the choir got everybody dancing, dog. Yell on that X, I'm a sentinel, standing tall, no time to stand still. Please don't meander, dog. They're throwing jazz at me to challenge my rap savvy. I sway like Callaway, I'm ahead, you'll never catch me. Ain't worry about it unless I spit Christmas gifts. My crew lighting up trees, you a screw to this. Menage a Quad, the name of my team supreme. They biting now, so I'm tossing out teeth and rings. You said you wanted bling, flossing ain't what you mean. You got baby teeth, though they pulling wisdom from me. Get neutered, respect the shooter of medulla. Give an inch, I'll take 50, 280 rulers. Royalty around me and mine, we all sires.
Words in Paris, we hot, that's French fire.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cool out. What is all present, better lose some box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cool out. What is all present, better lose some box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cool out. What is all present, better lose some box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cool out. What is all present, better lose some box. Challenge my rap, Swabby. Swabby, keep the first one.
Sing it out at street level. No boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and employ pure murder. Do I really have to sing this again? The state we're in, I admit it bears repeating. Authorities exist, the men are overgrowing. Passive populists pretending like they never knowing that. Hard to forget if you're one hit by empire straight from left. Hard to ignore building implode ever own a sickle it. Hard to believe they buried boogeyman body as he with that one soldier cell phone helmet caps. Not the one picture to prove it. Yeah. Sing it out at street level. Low boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder. Are you ready? Wondering where to begin? First steps rejecting this old worthless system. Establishment persists, the harder we resist it. But ceasing to exist the moment we dismiss it. Yeah. Hard to convince significance of working with the minute. Hard to insist when peace by presence, keeping us extra careless. Expending ammo faster than can even be replenished. Enduring each side ever extending, expanding more than endless. Sing it out at street level. Levels the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and employ pure murder. Sing it out at street level. Levels the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder.
And you're live with Tattoo with Children. We're back. Welcome to all of the IG Black Spot Tattoo Company IG listeners. We just started that broadcast up, and we have some people in the room. Welcome to Christian, who's here and enjoying some refreshments with us, enjoying some of the barbecue. And I wanted to get into a little bit of a different thing. Like we just talked about the royal family, which is about as far removed from East Texas as the moon. Yeah. So let's bring it let's bring it back closer to home here and start talking about entrepreneurs, which is one of my favorite type of people to hang out with. And to that end, I consume a fair bit. If you listen to Tattoo with Children, you know that we consume a fair bit of content from Gary Vaynerchuk of VaynerMedia, and he's just a guy. You know, he's a guy that does his thing, but he has a lot of interesting ideas that you wouldn't think about if you weren't an entrepreneur. But it's a lot of but it has far-reaching applications, and so like, I watch his videos uh, because it helps me in different ways, but it also helps me think about entrepreneurs. And like I said, it's people I like to hang out with. So how do entrepreneurs think? How do they talk? How do they sound? How do they go around in the world? And he has some insightful things. And one of the things he posted just recently was he was in an interview with who was he interviewing with
He was
on that?
interviewing the CEO of the Blackstone Group, Stephen or David. What's his name? Hang on, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, the Blackstone Group, where they got into this idea.
Steve. His name's Steve.
Steve was saying, you know, everyone thinks that entrepreneurs are risk takers. That's not true. That entrepreneurs are not risk takers. In fact, they only do things that they're sure of. Entrepreneurs only go with at least 90% surety about any decision that they make. It just looks risky from the outside because people who are not entrepreneurs see it as a risk, whereas entrepreneurs see not doing the thing that they're doing as the risk is you being
missed
risk,
opportunity.
a missed opportunity, you being exposed to weakness if you don't do what they're doing. And my response to that, and I don't actually have a response many times. I just take in the information. But this time I thought about it because I have hung out with entrepreneurs for a good bit of my working career. You know, I got involved with startups very early on when I started working. And entrepreneurs are always, in my experience, the entrepreneurs I've met have always been gamblers. Like dog track gamblers, horse racing gamblers. You know, they will gamble on pretty much anything as long as there's a chance that they can lose. And so I don't know if that translates into risk taking, but I know for a fact that a lot of entrepreneurs that I've encountered with, I know there are different types of entrepreneurs out there, but they tend to be gamblers. What do you guys PaynePoints? You know, your business is speaking entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on the entrepreneurial spirit and risk taking?
Well, so I think the difference comes in with the idea of calculated risk.
Sure.
Okay? It is absolutely a risk situation. However, you also have to remember that risk is something that can be dealt with in a variety of ways.
It can be mitigated.
By the academic book, there's 4 ways to deal with risk.
Okay.
Right. And by non-academic books, there's anywhere between 5 and 8 ways to deal with risk.
Okay, let's start with the academic
Okay.
book, the 4 ways. Just a place to
So
start.
you have risk avoidance,
Okay.
risk mitigation, risk transference, and I always forget the last one. But there's the 4th way, which is Oh, no, acceptance. That's what it is.
Risk acceptance. Okay.
Okay. So you can accept the risk, you can mitigate the risk, you can transfer the risk, or you can completely avoid the risk, right?
Okay.
And all these different factors, all these different ways of dealing with risk. It's something that when people talk risk, it's almost like talking probability, right? And with
Okay.
your background in physics, you understand probability, right?
Yeah, my ears perked up. Go ahead.
So when people in general talk about risk, right? They're talking about a specific type of risk where you cannot apply these measures. It's a risk, and you don't have any way to analyze, assess, and respond to that risk.
Okay.
Gambling is a perfect
A
example
perfect
of that
example
kind
of
of risk.
that kind of yeah. So in other words, you put your chips in, and how they fall is how they fall,
Correct.
without your ability to affect that.
Right. Entrepreneurs deal with risk that you can assess and you
Okay.
can apply these measures, right? And you still have a chance of losing, right? But you're prepared for that eventuality.
Well, Gary Vee says in the video, he says people who are comfortable in complete chaos. And
Yeah.
Where sometimes some entrepreneurs are like it's a personality thing as much as it is any of the other stuff. Some people are very comfortable when chaos reigns, and they thrive in that kind of environment, and they succeed, and they make relatively decent choices, whereas someone of my personality type would not enjoy that at all. Chaos is not a thing I like. I like order, and I like lists, and I'm very type A, and I am not a risk taker. And so in that way, I think it is true that a lot of entrepreneurs, because I ran my own business, I did my own thing, but I made every choice based on research and calculated, projections of what that choice was going to make for me, not just hibbity skippity, I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants, And some people do that, and they do it very well,
Yeah.
and some of us don't.
Like I don't think going into chaos with no plan is necessarily an entrepreneurial thing.
Well, no.
Like I don't like chaos myself. Like I'm not into the rules being thrown out the window and let's see where we land. But I do like pressure. Like I do very well. It's part of the reason why I don't plan on these podcasts. I just go into it because now there's a pressure to perform, and I perform very well under pressure.
Yeah.
And so I like being in high stress environments. I like being under a deadline, a close deadline. It's something like, we need this done in 3 days. Like 3 days? All right, I get you done in 3 days. That gets my blood going. It gets my mind working, and I tend to get better results
But
that way.
that's still a little chaotic,
It's
because
a-
you
it's-
didn't plan for it, and you just did it,
Yeah, but it's not chaotic because I have ways the Mike was saying, I have ways of dealing with that aren't chaos at all. Like if you throw 6 problems at me, then like one of the my favorite axioms is, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a
One
time.
bite-
One
a
bite
time.
at a time. And that seems flippant, but it's actually very apropos to most chaotic situations.
Sure.
It's like, this situation looks insurmountable. Well, yeah, because you're trying to swallow an elephant.
Yeah, but you might have to ask yourself, was the chaos created by you, or are you just dealing with an external chaos?
I think that if you create chaos,
because it could go either way.
I think if you create chaos, you're automatically deciding to lose. Like
Okay.
bringing the chaos under control, not necessarily bringing order to it, because chaos may be necessary, but bringing it under your control, I think, is what entrepreneurs really thrive on.
Because I feel like a lot of what you're saying sounds to me like you're taking external circumstances and external problems that can be chaotic, and you're going into it and you're just dealing with it one problem at a time, which isn't chaos. You're right. In that way, with wedding photography, you go into this situation. It's very high stress, very time constraint oriented, very schedules, and you got to get things done very quickly, and you got to get it done perfectly because there's no redo. I did very well in that, but in terms of running a business, I wouldn't want to have that as my modus operandum.
Like
you know?
I don't think a person with a chaotic nature can be a good business owner. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Like I
don't
think
think so
I think
either.
if your nature is to scatter, like I've seen, I've met people like when the whole marijuana grow farm thing started taking off. I've met a lot of people. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna go work on a grow farm, or I'm gonna go start my own dispensary.
Right.
And I met dozens of them.
Oh yeah, sure.
And every last one of them is doing something different or went bankrupt. Because now these things are successful. The business was there. It just was not for them because they were thinking that they were getting into a situation where their mode of living would be of benefit.
Yeah.
Their mode of lackadaisical, slightly chaotic, less rules type situation. And the fact of the matter is, in a situation like a growing market of marijuana or, what have you, you need less chaos there than any other place. Like, that's
Right.
where you need to have strict controls, strict rules, and a firm hand,
Yeah.
which they did not have in any sense.
Well, yeah, but that's why there's the concern about the people who used to be the black market dealers of such things, right? Your drug dealers, right?
Right?
That turn into legitimate businessmen. They end up being so much more successful.
Yeah.
Because if you're a good illegal dealer, right, you're
Right.
going to be an excellent legal dealer because you have to maintain such strict controls and everything in order to not get your ass caught.
It's discipline, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like
I mean,
Meek,
that's a
Meek
legit
Mills.
yeah.
Anybody listen to Meek Mills? Am I the one? Yeah, I'm
You're-
gonna listen to Meek Mills.
Sorry.
Meek Mill's a rapper. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, some people think he sucks. I think he's great. He tweeted out, said, guys, we have the internet. Okay? If you can't make money on the internet, don't try to sell drugs.
Right.
Like, what I'm saying? If you can't make money when money is thrown on the floor, don't ever try to sell drugs because you're going to get caught immediately.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's this reason.
You know what? That just popped up an image in my mind. Did you guys ever watch that show Weeds?
Yeah, I did.
So here's this housewife. Her husband dies. Insurance money's gone. She's got to make money, but she doesn't really want to work. So
Right.
she goes and she's like a drug dealer. She deals marijuana.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that whole thing you were just painting there, just that was the mental picture that popped into my mind, because Nancy Botwin was like, she was like the worst. She was terrible at what she did.
She was
'Cause
terrible at what
she
she
reigned
did.
in chaos. She loved chaos.
But flip it to a different show and look at Breaking Bad.
Right. Now that was a whole other, that was
And-
180 in the other way.
A 180 other way, because this is a guy who wanted to control every aspect of his life.
And he was good
at
at
all
it.
times.
He was very good at it.
And that is perfect if you want to sell drugs.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, it's like, dude, that's the mentality you have to have. And I think, I hate to say that entrepreneurs and drug dealers have the same spirit,
I mean, they do though, kind of.
but
I mean,
they kind of do.
I mean, the question is, is more on the lines of, it's not that they have the same spirit. It's that, is it an entrepreneurial thing to be a drug dealer, right? Take the illegality out of it,
Sure.
right? Like that's not what we're talking about, because
Okay, let's
honestly,
take the-
regulatory and law stuff is actually considered one of the risks in business, right?
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
And we know damn well from years, anybody who's watched any mafia movie, who's done any research on the mob, right?
Right?
Just because it's illegal doesn't mean it can't be good business.
Doesn't mean it's
Right.
not a business.
right.
That's right. I mean, go all the way back to bootlegging. You know,
Yeah.
the Kennedys got where they were because of bootlegging.
Prohibition era laws. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's true.
We're coming for the Kennedys now.
To be fair,
Hey, the American royal family. Let's go for it.
to be fair, the Kennedys came after themselves. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are there any of them left? I mean, don't they all die mysteriously?
No, we still got a bunch of
I
Kennedys.
mean, I know
man.
Ted Kennedy's still around, but like by and
No,
large,
no,
most
no,
of them-
got a
no.
bunch-
Ted's gone.
Oh, Ted's gone.
Ted's gone.
What's the Kennedy that's in?
Jesus Christ. That was Pirate Ben in the corner there.
We put him in the corner for being bad.
Yeah, well,
There are a lot of young Kennedys out there. Like, the Kennedys actually had a pretty white wide-reaching.
Well, they were Catholic, so
family.
they
Yeah.
had a bunch.
They
They were
got
a
a bunch of
bunch.
fucking kids.
No, we have one in Congress.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it
What's
Joe-
his name?
Joe Kennedy.
Joe
Joe
Kennedy.
Kennedy, yeah.
Thank
Joe
you.
Kennedy.
I couldn't
He's-
remember. I
He's
knew there was
not part
one.
of the main line clan, right? But he
He's
is
like a
the
distant
branch.
cousin.
he's
branch
one
family.
of one of the branch families there.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
know,
like that is such a fucking concept to me, that you have a main family in the family. The main branch. What the fuck does that mean? The main branch.
well,
Is it
the main branch is winning off most of their adults, so they needed to pull in from the side
from
branches.
That's what I'm saying. I thought most of the like main Kennedys were dead.
Well, I mean, okay, so we lost JFK Jr. in the plane crash,
right, but that was like
Right.
20 years ago.
yeah, that was.
Yeah,
But he
but
had.
he
had,
has
he had a
young
kid.
kids.
He had kids.
you know, and they're just out of the limelight. I don't know what they're doing right now.
JFK Jr. did not have kids.
It did.
Yeah, he did. Okay, this is my job.
Or maybe
and
maybe it did.
Okay, you look that up because I thought him and his wife had only been married like a year when they had that plane crash. Was he involved with somebody
No,
else,
I-
like an
no,
out of
I
wedlock
think-
baby?
Like they had been together for a while. If I.
Yeah,
Uh,
but-
I'm not positive about that. Like Mike's looking it up, but I know there are other Kennedy kids. I mean, hell,
Well, like
Maria
the
Shriver's a goddamn Kennedy. There are other.
yeah, yeah, that branch of the family.
There are other-
Whoever they are.
There are other Kennedys. Whoever fucking the side family for the dude from the Rat Pack. Like he married a Kennedy. Wherever
The Rat
his
Pack,
kids
there were
are.
a bunch of them. Who?
Well, what was his name?
You had the Rat Pack.
Yeah, it was
Sinatra
Sinatra,
Um,
Sammy Davis Jr.,
and I'm gonna say Dean Martin.
Dean Martin.
Dean Martin. There was
Yeah.
then the fourth guy.
There was
was
a
a
fourth
fourth?
guy.
Yeah, shit. God damn it.
Google.
Now, like,
Alexa, who
see,
was the fourth
problem,
Rat
the
Pack
fucking problem I have here is this dude's younger than me. That's making me feel old. Like, yeah, you know, the fourth guy in the Rat Pack. Who you talking about, Boomer?
Okay. So Joe Kennedy in Congress right now is the son of Robert Kennedy. RFK.
Yeah, that was the younger brother of,
RFK.
Right.
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah,
Right.
he also got shot and killed.
But I'm talking about JFK Jr., John Kennedy's son, who was little bitty when he was assassinated, who married
looking for it now.
Caroline something or other.
I'm looking up a complete different thing now because you guys got to be fucked up on the Rat Pack. The Rat Pack was 4 people.
Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and
Rat Pack was Rat Pack members. It was Peter Lawford. Thank you.
well, nobody ever remembers him because
Well,
Peter Lawford.
no, nobody ever remembers him. But he was like he was married to a Kennedy.
Oh, right. That's
So
right.
it was like whatever that line is also Kennedy's.
That's
And
an
they were-
offshoot, though.
I mean, like I'm not sure like how what's it take to be a goddamn Kennedy? Like you just have to be blood
So
related to him.
I don't. Well, I mean, obviously, you would think JFK's dad and his siblings would be like the main patriarch, where the main patriarch line comes down from.
Yeah, but that.
Of course, there could
I
have been like
guess,
10 of them.
well,
Who
anyway,
knows?
like,
I don't know.
Like I don't like we don't really.
I
fuck
know
with-
more about the royal family in England
It's
than
like, yeah,
I do
I'd say
about them.
It's not as if he was married to Patricia Kennedy, who was the sister of John Kennedy, President John Kennedy.
yeah. Okay.
So it's pretty close.
Right. No,
there
it
were, like,
wasn't.
6 of
That's what I
them.
remember. It wasn't. JFK Jr. didn't have kids. His holdings were evenly divided among Caroline Kennedy's 3 children.
Yes,
His sisters.
Caroline Kennedy, his sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because his
there's
sister was older than him.
there's enough Kennedys to go around still. In other words, the royal family is still mostly intact. As far as even though the patriarchs all got sniped by people in time.
God, it felt like they had a curse on them.
Well, everybody felt like they had a curse
Well,
on them.
yeah.
I mean, hell, Rose Kennedy ran out of black dresses.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, and it really is, the royal family. I mean, if you, God, I hate to even admit this, but if you ever watched the Gilmore Girls,
Oh, yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah.
That whole
I so
that whole
did.
community, her parents, rich Connecticut community. That
was all.
Yeah.
That was them.
That was that world. Yeah,
That's
was that
world.
Sure. Sure.
And that coming from that area of the country, yeah, that world still
It's
to
still-
this day
it's still
has
like
an
that?
impact.
It's
Yes.
Wow.
it's dynastic. Those kinds of families exist for decades,
That's
generations.
not when you have wealth. That's something
That's
I
what
never,
wealth is.
I never understand. Look, I probably never will understand because I'm gonna be too fucking poor my whole life to. But there's a whole like we have this concept in the black community. It's called there's rich, and then there's nigger rich.
Oh my
Okay, rich is when you got a lot of money to make a lot of choices. Nigger rich, we got a lot of money to buy shit. that is the difference. Like you don't have a lot of choices
So you
per
have
se,
spending power.
but you have buying power.
You have buying power.
You
Okay.
know, and so like I've always
So what are Jay-Z and Beyonce? Are they rich?
no, they are rich.
Okay.
No, the Jay-Z,
I was gonna say, I thought they were rich.
Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah.
Doesn't Chappelle do a joke about that? Like
Yeah, he does.
Beyonce rich and
Yeah.
Jay-Z rich.
And Chris Rock does it better, where he's like, Oprah is rich, but she's not wealthy. If Bill Gates woke up with Oprah's money, he'd shoot himself. It's like,
Oh yeah, comparatively, sure.
it's like that's said black people can be rich, but we have a very hard time building wealth. I don't say that even of Puff Daddy, Jay-Z, and Dr. Dre. Where they okay, you've got $1 billion or almost $1 billion.
Yeah, but they've kind of built a dynasty within themselves. So they're not blood related. I get that, but like that group of people, that generation of people, they have amassed together. They've amassed quite a bit of wealth.
Yes, they have quite a bit of money. But let's say if Puff got shot in the face tomorrow, who's taking on all that business?
Yeah. You're saying there's no like a junior involved. who's gonna come
Exactly.
up and make it.
There's no like they haven't spread out this organization in such a way that when one person goes down, there's another person that gets onto the top and it continues in the same way.
Okay,
There
so-
could be another person, like another business partner, that's like, okay, now I own the company, but then without that guiding force, the money sort of bleeds away.
So from a business standpoint, would they be better served bringing their family in, their children, their relatives, and building a record label or whatever, a fashion line, whatever it is that they're involved in, and spread it out within their own family and like.
That would be my hope, but I don't know if that would actually work.
You don't think they do?
It's like, I mean,
Like, there's got to be a reason why
Why
it's
not?
not happening.
Is that a
it's-
cultural thing?
It could be because
Because I've never understood why there's like you have these families like the Kennedys and they're so dynastic and they have for generations and generations this amassed wealth, and can we really? Is there a black family that we can name that too?
I think like the Smiths,
Like for real,
the Smiths. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh yeah.
with their
I
kids.
mean, they made a very strong effort to give their
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
a foothold in their
but
business.
that's just 2 generations.
Yeah, but there's like,
But
Yeah, but then
is that it?
Jaden goes and gets on Twitter and fucks everything up.
exactly. And then it's like the kids don't really hold on to it that
What
way.
I really love
Like,
about
there's-
that though is that Will Smith gets out there after he does that and tells the entire world, "Yeah, my kid's an idiot."
Well, he had no choice. Like, what he said was that
Call a spade a spade,
What he
man.
would like because Jada Pinkett is all like, yeah, he came to me 15-year-old saying he wanted to be emancipated. I said, yeah, it's time for you to get on your own. And Will Smith is like, what the fuck are both of you? Are you both fucked in the ear hole? And then like years later, like he didn't leave home. He came right back because all of his shit is here.
Yeah.
And he got on television and said, yeah, looking back on it, maybe we gave him a little bit too much freedom.
Well,
I
think
maybe we went too far the other
They have
direction.
erred a little bit on the side of like letting their kids make their own decisions a little too young, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was maybe just a little bit much, but I'm still working on like for my own family. Okay, my last name is Coleman, but it was changed from Adams and Trailer and Strahan. Okay, so like on my Coleman side of my of my heritage. So the Adams, Trailers, and the Strahans all owned large tracts of land, huge tracts of land in Jasper, Newton County. So we went down. We did research. My wife did research because she's a fucking researcher and a genius. She did research and figured out how much property that these people owned, and literally it was most of Jasper and Newton County. Like if you took all the family member and all the families and just added up how much they owned, it was a tremendous amount of land. If and over the years, the kids, the parents died, the kids took the land and said, well, we don't want to do anything with it. We don't want to pay taxes, so let the state of Texas take the land back for tax liens. Happened over and over and over again until all the land was gone. So if they had not done that, if there had been a structure in place to maintain the wealth that they had gathered through normal means, buying and selling a property, then we would not have this podcast, because I wouldn't live in this town, because I would be in a high rise somewhere.
You'd be too good for us.
I would be so far too good. I wouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't even have met Ben. Like Ben would have been that crazy guy in Lufkin they keep talking about. said I'm hearing about this dude Harbuck. What the fuck is he doing in Lufkin?
It's fascinating to me that your family owned most of Jasper and Newton County, and now none of it?
None
Not
of
even
it.
a scrap of land?
No, not there. Like my father and his brothers have. I mean, they went and did their own thing, and they've built up their own, holdings.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, they own property and such, and they're fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong, but they're not rich.
That would be an interesting sort of sociological kind of thing to research. Is
In
why
other words,
people of that particular cultural descent don't hang on to the wealth that they amass throughout the
that's
generations.
the weird thing, because they didn't have buying power at the time. What they had was land. Like it wasn't if they could sell, a bunch of timber at that time. It wasn't. They would have had to have held on to it through the lean years,
Yeah.
put it all together, and then they would have discovered the wealth. You see?
Well, I mean, you got to look at the idea of how long does it actually take to amass wealth?
It takes a while.
Because amassing wealth is the reason that these big dynasties exist in the Northeast is because they've been doing it for
The
a couple hundred
Rockefellers
years.
For 100
and the
years.
Morgans, but that was within a generation of him making that money. I mean, the Industrial Revolution created a situation where a large
Yeah.
amount of money could be made in a very
That
short
was
amount of time.
that was a very
I
specific
think that's what you
situation.
have to look at is, yes, you have the Rockefellers, you have the J.P. Morgans, you have the Carnegies, okay?
Yeah.
And all of that, okay? And they made the money, but by the way, those are three of the four, the fourth being Vanderbilt, of the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
focused on in the miniseries Men Who Built America, which is a great miniseries.
It is a great miniseries. Dude, I like those miniseries because they're all these guys were assholes. How
was
much of
so
assholes were
real.
they?
Yeah,
Said
they
they murdered people just for money. That's
Yes,
how much of
that's
assholes
how
they
much
were.
so-
They were not philanthropic back then.
But
No.
they of the four, only one actually became philanthropic.
Right, yes.
So that's a whole thing that yes, they amassed it. They amassed it with just such a beautiful, wonderful ideas in the Reconstruction era,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And so next, what you have is you have these legacies that they created and they left behind, and I agree with that. But my point is that even post the Civil War, right? Even post Reconstruction, when you go into the Jim Crow period, the opportunity for minorities of color in the United States to even amass the amount of current money to create a wealth legacy has not existed until this current generation. That's why we're seeing folks like Jay-Z, right?
Yeah, it's
And
been
the Smiths.
asymmetrical.
Yeah. I think that in the next two generations, we'll see if there's actually a true diversion or just that finally the opportunity is available.
Yeah,
it would be really fun for me later on in years to look at the Rockefeller dynasty, as being the Rockefeller dynasty. It's like, dude, his grandkids are going to be senators. You know what I mean? That sort of
Right.
That sort of genuine wealth and power that is America.
And I think it should be noted that these four men we were talking about, were rich to start with. They just became incredibly wealthy during the Industrial Revolution. You know, they had money to start with because
Yeah.
of the Civil War and Reconstruction and things like that. And then you bring up an interesting point about how, you know, people of color did not have that kind of opportunity. And it's really, like you said, only been within this last generation where any amount of equality has existed. You know, civil rights
Right.
was not that long ago.
It's not where
Yeah.
it needs to be to be able to say it would be equal footing as
No.
what was happening in
Yeah,
the Reconstruction
sure.
era.
And there were some strong efforts by black. I mean, you know, there was the whole thing with Black Wall Street, where
Right.
they developed an entire town with a
Right.
thriving black wealth economy that was destroyed pretty much by racism.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it was, and it's an old story where
Old
the-
white rich men don't like other people being rich.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's an old story, and so there is definitely some of that, but I think for at least up until this point, a lot of families do that. Black families will do that to themselves. Don King said a quote I will never quite forget, or he said, you know, he was talking about contracts and how you pay them out. He said you can write the contract for whatever amount that you want for this event, for this fight, or whatever, and you may have to pay it if the person demands it. However, you may not if you pay it in cash. They said, what does that mean? He said, what it means is any man would take a $50,000 suit, 50 grand in cash over $5 million check any day of the week. Because cash means you can go buy that car that you want. A check means you got to put it in the bank, wait for it to clear, and get a lawyer, and get an accountant, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to bother with it. So you don't want to pay that contract, just give him cash. And it worked for him. That's how he built his empire.
I wonder if that's true though for, like, say, poor white people. You know, that have never experienced money. Is that also in your experience? Would you say that? Because I feel like
I would
the people
say-
I know that have come from that background, that's sort of how it works. Too.
I would say that is absolutely how it works too.
Yeah.
Like and I think one of the probably the biggest kept secret in America right now that everyone knows is that poor white people and poor black people are exactly the same.
No, yeah, sure. Except that poor white people think that if they just did X, Y, or Z, they
Yeah.
would be rich. Whereas black people are like, yeah, I know that.
That's not gonna happen. You know, I think it's just it's a mental
That's the
state thing.
delusion I think that poor white people seem to have, that they think that the American dream, if they just did this, they'd have
It's
it.
right around the corner.
Right, and
It's
that's why so many of poor people seem to vote against their own best interest when it comes to, say, politics or, you know, social issues that would better their life. Oh, no. I've been raised to be told that if I just do this, it'll happen for me.
So you got to work a little bit harder. You got to work a little bit harder, a little bit longer, and we'll get. Or say, well, I want to vote for this guy because this guy has my best interest at heart. Mm-hmm. So he is helping me every day by doing the thing that he does. So what did he do to help you? Oh, you know that thing.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it
also
actually
very
don't.
arbitrary. And so
Yeah, it's
vague.
completely vague. It's like that guy didn't do shit for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's. But on it's there's no
Poor white people
once
are
you
so
get,
trusting, and black people are like, they're cynical as hell. And I feel like that
Absolutely.
at least keeps them alive.
it's just as so. What's gonna happen today? We're gonna get fucked over by some white man.
Yeah, probably.
Watch. I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, just the fact of the matter. Just accept it. Just go through your life accepting that some white man's gonna fuck you over. When it happens, you're not pissed about it. You're not mad at him. Just doing what you're supposed to do. That's what people do. They fuck you over. You know, it's like it's like getting bit by a snake. So we mad at the snake for biting me? That's what snakes do.
I mean, it's kind of true.
So what do white people do? They fuck over brown people. Yeah, I knew that. That's a lot of times we'll get into these debates about people just shocked when something happens. Like the 2016 when Trump was elected. Like people were just shocked. I mean, shocked and dismayed and in tears. And black people were like, really? You're surprised?
I knew that shit was going to happen.
God, I said, well, that's just racist. yeah.
And
It was like, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. Like, why? Because we live here.
Yeah.
We've lived here for so long. It's happened so many times. We just expect it to happen again.
Yeah.
It's it's a mental state thing. It's a cultural thing, and there's a lot of a lot of weird cultural things that seem counterintuitive when you look at them on the surface. I was just going through one just now. Me and Ben were just outside talking about one. How much time we got in the second segment?
we got about 10 minutes.
No, we got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go ahead and get into it. So, my coming in here. What's going on right now is my father-in-law has been whisked to the hospital. He is a cancer survivor, but he has a permanent ileostomy. You know what that is? That's when they remove your colon, and so all you have is your small intestine for digestion. The small intestine does 90% of the work of the digestive process, so you can be fine with just that. But you eliminate body waste into a ileostomy bag, and sometimes because he does not have that extra bit of organ there to dry things out, he'll get blockages. Okay, and so now he has a blockage right now. It causes a lot of discomfort, vomiting, things like that, and so he's going to the hospital to get it cleared up. Now, here's the problem. I started asking him about this 2 days ago. And the answer I kept getting was, no, I'm fine. Are you in any
Typical
pain?
Male response.
Okay, it's a typical male response. And so, 2 days later, he's vomiting into a trash can, and I'm doing this, right? I'm coming out here to do this. And so I rushed back home, take him to the hospital. I get there and said, no, he's not going to go. Said, why aren't you going to the hospital? Said, well, we're going to wait for. My wife was taking our daughters onto a basketball game, and so I called her back, and she's on her way back. Said, we're going to wait for her to get here. And I'm like, you know what? I can't drag a grown Mexican out of his house.
You could, but that would be a very bad idea.
I wish we had a fan who could illustrate some of the stuff we talk about.
I would
love to see an illustration of Flavor Ray dragging a grown Mexican man out of his house.
It's not what I signed up for when I married his daughter. It's that I'm not. Dude, you want to go to the hospital? Fine, fuck you. You want to go to the hospital? Stay right there. And so, I left and came back down here. I called my wife and told the situation. She's like, "Yeah, go ahead and go. I'll come home and get him, and everything will be fine." I said, "I trust you because you're you. You're more capable than I am in most things, so I just trust you completely." And so I came down here, and I told Ben that he had a situation, and Ben goes, "That's a cultural thing." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I don't know a white family that would wait to take somebody to the hospital. Somebody needs to go to the hospital, you just go." And he said it, and yeah, it's true that if, my dad was having a heart attack, I would call the ambulance. Mm-hmm. If he's having like a lot of trouble, I will call the ambulance and take him to the hospital, regardless of what the fuck he said about it. I wouldn't be asking his opinion. But it's also true that sometimes men will just try to tough it out,
Yes.
and that's not cultural.
No, that's universal across
That
the
is
races.
that is
That's
a
man.
man thing, and so I'm not sure. I think that culturally, Mexicans are just more manly. They're just more. They just have more of that man thing. That is known that they're gonna be hard to deal with. Like I really think that my mother may wait for him to lose consciousness. Once he passes out, he can't argue.
Or maybe they just need to call a family summit and they take a vote.
You have to as a man, you're not allowed to admit that defeat until you are in full
for a
panic.
fact.
Like when you start panicking, all right, game over, let's go.
And I will say this: by the time I came home, he knew. Like I asked him, "So are you gonna go to the hospital?" And he was like, "Probably." He's like, "I'm fairly sure I'm gonna go to the hospital for this." But it wasn't like he was like, "You know what? Get the truck, let's go."
Right? He wasn't in panic mode yet.
And my mother was like, "Just get out of here. Just get out of here. Go do your thing." And my wife's like, "Yeah, just go do your thing. We'll handle it." In other words, they already knew this was going to happen. I've been looking at him for 2 days, going, "Are you okay? Are you in pain?" So if I know if I was doing that, his wife must have been asking him several more times than I was.
No, she ain't asking him shit.
No,
She knows the answer.
okay. Yes, it's either that. It's either she was asking him and he's going, no, I'm fine. And she's like, okay, fine, we'll see. Or she didn't ask him anything, just gonna wait until he spirals, hits rock bottom, and then be like, all right, you're ready now. Like, and it could be either way. I really don't know. I really don't know which one of those it was. I know he's at the hospital now because he literally they had to call the ambulance. They couldn't even get him into the vehicle to get him to the hospital. They had to call an ambulance. That's just a weird cultural thing. It's like one of those weird cultural things that you don't really think about until something like this happens. I mean, like, Ben had a chest flutter and went to the hospital, right? I had a chest flutter.
Okay.
I had a chest flutter, and I
calls it a chest flutter.
I took my pulse and started thinking, all right, if I don't die next 20 minutes, I'm probably good.
It took Ben a little more convincing to
How
go
much?
to the hospital.
How much convincing did it take for? Like this is
Half a day.
This is right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is right in line with
Half
what we're
a
talking
day,
about.
he woke up that way, not feeling good, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay. And at first, I don't know how much of this he wants me to say, but
He doesn't
he's-
care.
I don't give a
he's
fuck
had-
what he's saying. Just say it all.
He's had panic attacks in the past.
He
and
shit
that's
his
kind
pants.
of what it was.
And the shit's right down his
Oh
leg.
my
For those
God,
of
that is
you-
not no.
For those of you
no.
who are unfamiliar with what a panic attack is, it is a heart attack for wussies.
I've had them.
Oh.
And I'm not a wussy. You might be, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
I love the idea that that's what a doctor would say to a person. To say said no, you didn't have a heart attack. What you had was pussification. You're weak is the problem here. No, like
Y'all are so stupid. Okay, anyway.
We've been trying to get that out of her all night. I'm waiting for the insults.
I'm losing my patience.
For those of you who do not know, I was informed just the other day that Sarah is now the vice president of the company I
But
founded.
this was news to me as well.
And,
I don't know how you didn't
there's-
know that.
But there's a good damn reason for it. And the insults that she's about to hurl at our faces,
Oh my God.
though, that's the reason.
like I really don't know how you didn't realize that. Like that was obvious to everybody but you.
Yes, as is the case with most any kind of relationship between a male and a female. That's generally how it works.
Everybody's looking at you going, "You didn't know that?"
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, go on. Yes, I realized that was.
What
that
were
was
we even
that was
talking
wrong.
about? I don't even know.
we're
You two
talking
have been
about-
bullshitting.
You're talking about Ben going to the hospital.
Oh,
You're walking
right.
me through that.
Yeah, so his symptoms were very panic attack like, and so I thought, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But then when it went on for much longer than it should have, it was like, okay, you need to probably go to the doctor. I just need to rest. Like, whatever. Okay, I know that's probably not true, but at some point it's going to get to be so bad, you're going to be forced to make a decision here. So it took
Right.
about half a day for him to go, okay, maybe I should go to the doctor. And then
Yeah.
he gets to urgent doc, and they're like, yeah, you need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah. Like this is the thing.
This was the thing. You skip us because this is pretty serious. You need to go to the hospital and have some tests run.
We aren't even going to charge you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not even going to charge you.
That's how serious it was. They didn't take any money for it because they
yeah.
didn't want any
No
evidence,
liability.
any evidence he'd ever been here.
Yeah. So like it's I think it's a definitely a man thing to kind of like I'm going to wait it out. And to be fair,
I'm the worst.
I grew up in a household where going to the doctor was the last ditch effort. That's what you did at the very like you were on death's door and then you went to the doctor.
Right.
Because my dad, you guys know my dad. That's his. I'm gonna have to be almost dying.
What was the home remedy ointment of all of that? Everybody had a house that everybody who lived the way that we lived has a thing in the house that you put this on everything and it's going to fix it or it's
You mean
not.
like Windex, like in the Big Fat
Yeah.
Wedding? Oh, I'm trying to think what that might have been. I can't remember.
in Mexican houses, which is what I live in, it's vapor rub.
A vapor rub.
You can put vapor rub and a candle and it'll fix everything. In my house I grew up in, it was Sabine Jr. You ever seen this stuff?
Sobbing Junior.
Sorbin Jr. is how
Oh,
but we call it
oh,
Sorbin Jr.
Okay.
And you just rub that shit on whatever it is, and it's gonna fix it or it ain't. You ain't going to no damn doctor though. But like I remember,
Rest. If you rest, just rest, you'll feel better.
I
That was the
destroyed
thing.
I destroyed my left knee in high school, and literally it is 4 times bigger than it's supposed to be, and it took from the time I destroyed it until I went to hospital was probably about 14 hours, I want to say, till it was so much fluid, literally you couldn't recognize it as a leg anymore. It was just
Jesus.
but it was soaked. I mean, soaked in Sabine Jr. Like
God.
from all the way. They took a plastic bag and taped it so that the Sabine Jr. would stick onto the skin and like seep down into the bone where the injury was. And heal
From
it.
a food family. This is how you know you grew up in a food family.
It's marinated.
Because- Yeah,
Marinated.
exactly.
Marinated.
Every injury was like, you need to marinate this.
Literally, it smelled like hell, and it hurt much worse than that. Like when I finally went to the doctor, they're like, for starters, what the fuck? How did you let?
What is
how
all
did-
this?
How did you even let this happen? And what is this smell? Or, like, look, can you fix it or not? Like, no, we can't fix this shit. It's gonna take surgery.
Yeah,
You're
that
gonna
happened.
fuck this up.
That happened with my brother. He had appendicitis, but they didn't know that at the time. They thought it was the flu, and this
Right.
went on for a week. Well, then apparently it ruptured, went septic, and my brother was going downhill very fast. And so that scared my dad. And so he
Right.
finally took him to the doctor a week after the symptoms presented. And the doctor was like, you need to turn around, take that kid, put him in the car, and drive him over to the emergency room. I think he's septic. I think his appendix is already ruptured. They get in there, they're doing the surgery, and he almost died
Right.
because they waited so long.
Yeah.
And it was a sheer I thought he had the flu.
I've got a similar story
on.
about that. See, this brings up another point. Another point is it's not just a man thing for me, and I don't know if this is cultural too, but I don't really trust doctors. Even today, married to a woman with a doctorate, college educated myself. I don't really trust. I've mentioned this before on Tattoo of Children that I have a problem with doctors. But I come by it honestly.
Is it because so much of it's guesswork on their part and it's not
I
definitive
think-
science?
I think that a lot of what they do, they don't really know why they do it. They just hope that it works. Like antibiotics. I don't think that they prescribe antibiotics because they think it's going to make you better per se. I think they think it will definitely get you out of their office. And when you do get better, then, okay, yeah, you get better. It's like if you don't get better, say, well, we just need stronger antibiotics or we need more tests. It gives them all the room they need to say whatever they have to do to move on with their day.
I mean, I feel like that's sort of I think medicine used to be practiced in a much different way than it is today. Today, it's more about a profit than it is actually curing the problem. Whereas think about 100 years ago, doctors that would travel on their horse from house to house to treat people, and it was a much more intimate experience in the sense that, okay, what's going on here? And maybe it was go out and pick the so-and-so flower and crush it up. And
crush
give
it
them
up
something.
and
You know,
put it in
and
your
it
eyes
worked.
and it works.
But I feel like the care, while they didn't know as much maybe in terms of knowledge and science then, I feel like the care was so much better in that they okay, what's the root cause here?
I'm not even positive that they know anymore now. Okay, we're going to get into this in the very next segment. We're going to have to take a break. You're listening to Tattoo of Children live at the PaynePoints podcast party. We're live streaming here. We're also recording, so this will be at least 2 episodes because I'm just getting started. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm feeling pretty good. I can definitely go for another hour of this, and so that's what I'm going to do.
You could talk all day.
That's right.
We will be right back.
Sing it out at street level. No boost the bass and twist the treble. All I need is light and produce pure murder.
You know why? Cause I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter whether I'm cool or not. Just a taste of the word gives me the gut rock. It's not pop to just stop like a blood clot. Cause we're here to blow up like we came from a rock. Electronica embezzled by hip hop. Here to kick ass until our heart stops. Hipsters put on their cool shades. And thrifters keep the money they've been paid. And drifters have nothing to say but mind lifters. Don't give a damn what they say.
Wait, undeceivable, shit's unbelievable. You never ever guessed you'd hear this mix, it's inconceivable. Ouch, too hot, baby, back out of the kitchen. This is glitchy love at one for so daddy, put your bitch. I'm a poisonous affliction with a fireball addiction. Man, it burns like hell and tastes like heaven. You say bold itching. Now I got you campus itching. This is music for your children. If you never heard the cue before, you don't know what you're missing.
Hey!
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box. I carry the club like Neanderthal. The choir got everybody dancing, dog. Yell on that X, I'm a sentinel, standing tall. No time to stand still, please don't meander, dog. They throwing jazz at me to challenge my rap savvy. I sway like Callaway, I'm ahead, you'll never catch me. Ain't worry about it unless I spit Christmas gifts. My crew lighting up trees, you a screw to this. Menage a Quad, the name of my team supreme. They biting now, so I'm tossing out teeth and rings. You said you wanted bling, flossing ain't what you mean. You got baby teeth, though they pulling wisdom from me. Get neutered, respect the shooter of medulla. Give an inch, I'll take 5,280 rulers. Royalty around me and mine, we all sires. Words in Paris, we hot, that's French fire.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box.
doesn't matter if you're
Cooler. Hottest in the cortisol, present, better lose the box. Challenge my rap, Swabby. Swabby, keep the first one.
Sing it out at street level. No boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and employ pure murder. Do I really have to sing this again? The state we're in, I admit it bears repeating. Authorities exist, the men are overflowing. Passive populace pretending like they never knowing that. Hard to forget if you're one hit by empire straight from lit. Hard to ignore building implode ever own a stick for it. Hard to believe they buried boogeyman body as see but that was old cell phone helmet cab snapping one picture to prove it. Yeah. Sing it out at street level. No boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder. Are you ready, wondering where to begin? First steps rejecting this old worthless system. Establishment persists, the harder we resist it. But ceasing to exist the moment we dismiss it. Yeah. Hard to convince significance of working with the minute. Hard to insist assist with response presence, keeping us extra careless. Expending ammo faster than can even be replenished. Enduring each side, ever extending, expanding more than endless. Sing it out at extreme level. Levels the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and deploy pure murder. Sing it out at extreme level. Levels the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder.
Welcome back to the Tattoo with Children live podcast party brought to you by PaynePoints. This is the owner of PaynePoints, CIO No Pain. We're back for our next segment here, and we're really having a great time doing this, hosting this. The food is great, the people are great. I really wish we could have some video of some of the stuff going on. But we're going to get back into our next segment. And, man, Flavor Ray, you're going to have to remind me. I think I was supposed to do something on this. And
he completely...
completely went past it.
We went out there on smoke break, and he's like, listen, I'm going to bring you back in because I'm going to tell everybody
yes. Now
what...
I know.
You know what he did? He John Starked it. That's a 90s reference for all you old people out there.
Well, now,
okay, Boomer.
now that I've opened myself up to all the criticism, I know what I was going to talk about.
Now he's ready.
Those of you who are currently, I can see a lot of you right now on the Black Spot Tattoo Company Instagram live stream of this. I want to let everyone know that we are actually live streaming this across multiple platforms and multiple accounts on those platforms. So
Right.
It is currently being broadcast on 8 different places. You can catch this if you have any trouble where you're at now. You can catch us on Facebook at Tattoo with Children or at PaynePoints.
Right.
You can catch us on YouTube at Tattoo with Children and YouTube at PaynePoints. It is on the Payne.Points Instagram as well as the Black Spot Tattoo Company Instagram. And this is a first for me. We are actually also broadcasting live on Twitter.
Yay.
On both at Tattooed With and at Points Paint.
All right, guys, that is your invitation to look in on us if you're having trouble and you were trying to figure out why it wasn't working on whatever platform. Just pick another one and see if it works there.
Right.
Because we are on 8 different ones. One of them has to work, is my
Sure.
theory.
Well, I mean, theoretically.
Also, I want to take this time to go ahead and end tag this episode because this is actually the end of episode 1 or something. But I'm not going to go through the whole end tag process normally do. I do all the end tags live. I'm not doing the whole end tag right now. I'll do that later.
Do you want to record that for 2020?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Doing
all right.
like this, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
But what I am gonna say is this has been fun. You're listening to a podcast party, and I've had a hell of a time. I've had a great conversation, and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm not gonna let it end. So if you want to hear the next part of it, just tune in to the next segment, which will be posted right after this one, and it will start in 3, 2, 1. And you're on Tattoo with Children. I am your host, Flavor Ray, and seat A across me in seat B is now the Dread Pirate Benjamin, famous for the 5-head. And
True.
across from us both is our sponsor, CIO No Pain, who is a champion of all things the technical.
True story.
So, guys, we're actually, this is posted, 48 hours, I guess, after the first segment, but we're just still rolling, all right? And so, at the end of the last conversation, I was speaking to Sarah Harbuck, and we had just gotten into a subject which, listen, I don't like giving people a hard time, but doctors are starting to piss me off again. Okay, it is for the same reason, but for different. But I think now it's not just me. I think the rest of the world is starting to pick up on the fact that maybe a lot of this shit is bullshit
Okay.
with doctors.
I'm with you.
And I want to just go into how I came about, not really trusting medical establishment. Sarah just now related a story about how her brother nearly died from a infection, burst appendix, like because you just waited too long. Like they waited too long. They said he had the flu. He did not have the flu. In fact, he had appendicitis. And then when they finally figured out he had sepsis, he's fighting for his life. Well, a similar thing happened to me where I had ear infections as a kid. A lot of us, my age, we had a lot of ear infections.
Sure.
And so, I went to the doctor and I complained about a sore throat and the ear infection. And the doctor barely looked at me. He looked, she actually looked at me and said, "Yeah, it's that thing that you get sometimes. Just take this medicine and go home." Well, I took the medicine and went home, and I felt better for about 2 days, and then I felt worse again. And this continued. Like I said, my family was not the doctor family. I've already been to a doctor once. The rest of it's just going to be waited out. Give it to Jesus. We're going to pray over you. And so everything was fine until my fever spiked and I had a seizure. And so then I'm rushed to the hospital. It turns out I did not, in fact, have an ear infection. I, in fact, had strep throat, which went undiagnosed. And so it spread to my kidneys, which then made my blood pressure go to stroke level, which then got me life flighted to Louisiana.
Okay.
And this is all because the doctor wasn't really listening to my symptoms, largely because of the thing that Sarah just said. It was for profit. She wasn't going to get any more money for looking at me for another second, and so she didn't.
Right.
And it's something that I resented at the time because I actually did die and had to overcome that.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. Cut to years later. Years later, I'm married. Okay, I'm married. I'm at home, and I start having tremendous stomach pains.
Okay.
Like if you know me, you know that I have a lot of allergies and food allergies. Wasn't aware of at the time, but stomach pain was not something that I would complain about.
Okay.
And so if I'm complaining about it, the stomach pain must have been crippling, and it was. All right, so I'm up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm fucking dying. Maybe I should go to the hospital. My wife gets me to the hospital. The doctors look at me, and they're like, okay, you have appendicitis. We're going to schedule you for surgery. And so and they're doing scans, and they're checking my blood pressure, and they have me on IPO, which means I can't take any foreign substance into my body whatsoever. I can't have water. I can't have food. I can't have anything.
Okay.
And I'm on an IV, and I've got the help lock on. And I'm miserable. And the doctor comes, looks at me, and says, "Hey, look at this scan." He showed me this scan and said, "Look at your colon here. Look at my colon." And says, "Yeah, this is reversed." So what does that mean? So well, your sigmoid colon's on the wrong side. So for a regular colon, your cecum connects is that area of your bowel that connects from your small intestine to your large intestine. That's on one side. On the opposite side is your sigmoid colon, which drops down and then curves into your descending colon, and
What?
goes.
Sarah's dying over there.
Sarah found that extremely funny.
I was just like, this is the longest story ever.
Is it a really long story?
Apparently Sarah's not familiar with Tattooed with Children's
Yeah,
stories.
she doesn't. She doesn't know how our stories went.
Yeah, she doesn't know how our stories go.
So I guess I'll short it. Well, in other words, my
Continue
colon.
the story.
The scan was mirror imaged. Okay, so and I was like, "Is this the reason why I'm hurting?" He's like, "I don't know," and then left.
Okay.
So and then, like literally, that's exactly. My wife was there. You can ask her too. This is exactly how the conversation went. He said, "I don't know," and he left out of the room. Said, "Am I still having surgery?" I said, "Oh yeah, you're still having surgery." And so about an hour later, not an hour later, that's exaggeration. About 5 hours later, I'm not hurting anymore. Okay, the pain stops. And so, hey, everyone, the pain stops. He says, yeah, okay, your pain stopped. We're still gonna have surgery. Like, really? Like, yeah. And so a few more hours pass, and he's like, you know what? You haven't had pain for a while. Let's just observe you. So they observed me for a while, like hours. So yeah, there's no pain. Like, all right, well, we're still gonna keep you here and keep you on IPO. Say, am I still having surgery? Said, yeah, we're not gonna do the surgery, but we're still gonna keep you there. And so now I'm getting pissed off.
Right.
Because I'm IPO. I haven't eaten or drunk anything in 24 hours.
Right.
I'm getting cranky. I have this fucking needle in my arm.
Okay.
And so finally, I'm after another 10 hours, like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm leaving. Like, no, we still got to observe you. What are you observing? Do you have any idea what's wrong? No idea whatsoever.
Okay.
Then I'm getting out of here.
Right.
And eventually, I just simply demanded that they remove the IV, remove the health block, and let me drink at the very least.
Right.
So they had to bend on that and actually decide that I knew enough about myself to know that I can ingest now.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 5 hours later, I was discharged. Still to this day, no idea what was wrong with me that day.
Yeah.
No idea what it means that apparently I'm a mutant
Okay.
with mutant guts. And they're completely unconcerned about it.
Right.
Like, and combine those two stories, and you end up with a guy that really doesn't trust the medical establishment because they don't know what the fuck is going on most of the time.
Well, okay, but you and I have had this argument for a while, and we always end up on different sides of it. Somehow, I don't know how.
Because you're
not. No, it's not because I'm wrong. It's most likely that we can't come to an agreement on what science is.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
sure.
I mean, well,
I'm coming more along in this sense. I'm coming more to your side of the argument. I believe. Keep going.
I just looked up the definition for science. I Googled it, and it says
Google
Oddly
knows
enough,
all.
that is also the definition for science.
it says
Can you
Google it.
Google it?
the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment.
Okay, I can. Okay, I can buy that in the sense of you have to observe and experiment in order to learn.
I mean, I can buy it, but I don't know that that's what they're doing.
That's my question.
Like,
That's my exact question. Is that what? But that's what's going on.
you know, because like we got into this the other day. You know, the Western scientist kills the cat and dissects it. The Eastern scientist lives in the room with the cat for a year. You know, one is, the German scientist is saying, well, I've taken it apart and I know how it works. The Eastern scientist is saying, well, it was alive to begin with. It is still alive, and I have lived as it.
Right.
And, can I get you a ladder?
We have Sarah who's taking a picture of our situation here.
So my frustration here is that a lot of the things that we call science simply have a real lack of observation to start with. You mentioned a test the other day. You mentioned that they're starting to have a very difficult time reproducing what we're basing our medicines on.
Right. Everything that we say that we know,
Right.
they're starting to like, okay, let's do those experiments again. And you're finding that 80% of them cannot be reproduced. The results are different.
Right, which is improbable unless the scientific method wasn't clear in the first place.
Let me ask you guys this: what is the average body temperature of a human?
98.6.
What do you say?
I think that's the accepted norm. I don't know.
98.6?
That's not the. I don't necessarily know that that's the average.
No, that's the average. I've always said that it is 98.6. That is a number that was put in my head early in my life.
Right.
And that is numbers have been accepted. Mm-hmm. That number was established back in the 1850s.
Okay.
By a scientist by the name of Wunderlich.
That's a great name.
It is. He did a million. Is a German.
Hold up.
Yeah.
If it's in German, no. If it's in German,
Wunderlich.
It's Wunderlich.
Wunderlich.
Okay, let's go with Wunderlich. I agree with
exactly.
you completely on
Wunderlich.
this one. So, how did Wunderlich get his name?
his name.
Was he like well known with the ladies? And they're like, you need to go see Dr. Wunderlich.
Ooh, he know what he's doing. He healed all of my frenzy.
I be at that doctor every day.
I was so nervous when I went to Dr. Wunderlich, and now I'm not nervous about shit.
Okay, and that was
so
you said that happened in 1984, like in a reasonable era of computing and science.
No, it happened in 1850s.
Okay, remind me what we had going for us in 1850?
Slavery, war, a good amount of infectious disease.
Oh, the camera that had just come about.
Well, yeah, that's something. If you had 40 hours to spend, you could take a snapshot. Back in the 1850s. Yeah, that was he took a million temperatures. He took a million temperatures in the 1850s and averaged them. Like, I don't know if he was fucking autistic or just, like, I don't even know how you fucking do that. But, okay, so they said, yeah, this is the average. Now, they didn't take his firm's word. About 3 decades later, they tried it again on a smaller sample size. So, yeah, 90.6 seems pretty good.
Pope Pius IV returned from exile that year.
What? They exiled a pope
and Los Angeles was incorporated.
Before Los Angeles was incorporated, this guy was establishing the baseline body temperature that we accepted for, what is it, 170 years? Is what we're talking about here? 170 years? And so they just recently redid it and determined that actually it's not 98.6.
Really?
It's actually 97.5. Is lower.
That's unfortunate.
Now you have two choices. Either the tabulated temperatures were fudged because of, things.
Well, it could have been because California wasn't a state yet.
It could be because California wasn't a state.
Continue.
Or you have to think that we are getting colder.
Okay.
Now that's possible. It's possible that our temperature is going down because we have fewer infectious diseases and we have more sedentary life and all of those reasons.
Because it's inversely proportional to climate change.
No, at all.
Yeah,
they have no viable theories as to why the human body temperature on average would be a full degree lower than what they thought.
Right.
So now if you get a 98.1,
right.
Before, you're like, oh, that's not a fever. That's 5 degrees above normal.
Okay, but see, here's my issue, because we're not starting at the beginning. No one can read doctor's handwriting. So how the fuck did they
I fucking love Ben Harbuck.
Why are we believing this motherfucker from 1850 when California is not a state yet?
What if you had the janky hand?
That's what I'm saying. Like Elon Musk didn't fix this shit. Like Barack Obama, where you at? Like,
where you at, homie?
They did not have air conditioning back then either.
No AC. No fucking AC. No one even fucking thought to check if indoor-outdoor air conditioning had an effect on the human body temperature average.
Right.
Like that's not science to me.
No, it's not.
Am I wrong? I'm asking everyone in the world. Am I wrong?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, like, if we just went through a thing a couple of months ago, towards the end of last year, where they forgot to ratify the new plumbing code.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Remember that? The legislature just like dropped the ball.
They just completely didn't do it.
Yeah, and they're just like, well, what if we don't do that? So the thing about it is, though, is like every 30 years they have to look at the plumbing code again.
Yeah, it's a legal requirement.
But doctors are like, well, he wrote down in 1850 that it was 98.6. I think we'll use that, Ed.
Now let's go ahead and talk about BMI. When was that shit established?
Right.
Let's talk about
When they established
BMI stands for Bullshit Metrics Incorporated.
Okay, but when they established it feels to me that when they established BMI, this was when the like average age of white men was 38.
Right. Exactly.
And the average age of black men was 27.
They're like
Maybe
a full-grown,
maybe 24.
a full-grown adult, right?
Right.
Has this BMI. What they didn't tell you was that full-grown adult was 12 and a half years old.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, he walks 16 miles a day one way for water. Like
There was no bus pass.
They're like, we're fatter today. Well, no shit. I haven't walked 16 feet for water in my entire life.
And then let's talk about let's talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol causes heart attacks, yes?
Sure.
Google that shit and tell me how many articles you have contradicting each
Right.
other.
Well, and this goes back to a thing that you and I, this is where it gets difficult to talk about, because I understand you want to be upset at doctors right now, but
You know what? It's not doctors.
Technically, I'm upset at us.
Yes.
I have to start at me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, we figured out by the time we were like 21 that there was a lot of shit we didn't know.
Right.
But then we got like busy like making babies and like trying to figure out what we were supposed to do with our lives.
Yeah.
And like finding
ourselves. I was drunk. I was drunk as fuck.
You were drunk. I was out in the woods talking to a tree. Like we each had our thing. Okay. We dealt with depression differently. But my thing is like, when did we assume? When we found out that there were like 4 out of 5 things in biology that was a lie, or there was 4 out of 5 things in fairy tales that were a lie, or that 4 out of 5 things we had learned about food were a lie.
Right.
Why did we just stop there?
I don't know. Like that's and it was, for me it was even worse. Because I have a degree in physics.
Yeah.
And if you get a degree in physics, one of the things that you learn is that everybody figured out physics was one thing. You know, it was Isaac Newton, and then you went on from Newton, and everything's classical, and everything is waves. And then you get right around 1907, and, oh, by the way, all that's bullshit. So what do you mean all that's bullshit? You mean that gravity's wrong? No, gravity's right, but everything else is different than what we said. Light is actually a particle and a wave. Is that possible?
Right.
Well, no, except if it's light. How do you know that? Well,
Right.
Reasons.
Right. You measured it against what?
And so now that's accepted, right?
Right.
It's wave particle theory,
Right.
and quantum mechanics. It is all these neat equations that we can figure out this, that, and the other. We got all these constants that we can figure out. We get to the end, and you say, all right, let's go back to the beginning. Why is this true?
Right.
Well, it just is.
Right.
How is that science, motherfucker?
Well,
they don't understand when I tell them.
Right.
Maybe the second order of thermodynamics is God pushing the universe in one direction.
Right.
Well, there is no God because you can't prove it.
Right.
You can't prove anything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, could you prove dirt for like 15 seconds?
Exactly.
You know, just run the same experiment 15 years in a row and tell me the results. And by the way, if they're all different, please don't call it science. Please call it 15 different experiments, and then I will call it science. See, this is what's interesting about it, is when you call yourself something, it's much less likely to be true than when
when somebody else calls
when
you that.
somebody else is like, you know what, that motherfucker's a doctor, and you're like, yeah, no, I actually agree with you. That seems true. Like, he helps everybody I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? But on the other hand, when you're like, I am a doctor, I am learned, and you're just like, I don't think you are, bro. Like, I think I think you probably I don't know, spend some too much time with yourself.
One of the things that medical science will tell you is that acupuncture doesn't work.
Right.
Chiropractic doesn't work. Home
Right.
remedies don't work. Now, here's the thing. We can fully accept that what you eat affects your health. We can fully accept that if you take performance-enhancing drugs that are made in a lab, they will, in fact, enhance your performance.
Okay.
They will make you stronger. They'll make you faster. They'll make you more alert. They'll improve your reflexes. And to a certain extent, they will actually improve your thinking ability.
Okay.
Like, we have drugs that can do that.
Right.
But they will fight you tooth and nail that a Chinese person 2,000 years ago could have achieved the exact same effect using natural plants and animals.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how on earth can you say that it doesn't work?
Right.
Well, because there's no way to prove it.
Actually, they have a lot more written down than we do.
They've already written that stuff down.
See, and they were writing that stuff down way before 1850. And this goes back to my one of principal frustrations. We talked about this on one of the very earliest episodes of the podcast. Because I just read that in 1850, I'm so glad you mentioned that year, that Harriet Tubman became the official conductor of the Underground Railroad. Now, one of the reasons that this is frustrating to me is because of language. I love, as a child, there's probably no white man, well, I was a white boy. There's probably no white boy that loved Harriet Tubman more. I read like 800 books on her.
She is one of the greatest American stories
She
ever
is.
from a
She
heroic
is.
standpoint.
But when you read the words that
Official
Harriet,
conductor.
that the United States of America named
Declared.
her the official conductor of the Underground Railroad.
Oh my God.
How is a child supposed to know that that is not the world's first subway?
Oh my God.
Like, that devastated my entire world.
The official, as if, like, honestly, and I will be frank here, when the first time I heard about the Underground Railroad, I pictured, like, I imagined everybody must have.
Yeah, like
that
I
there
did.
was an underground, if not a train,
Right.
but there was an underground tunnel
Right. No, there was
that
a
they
tunnel.
all ran
Right.
through.
And this lady walked from the north to the south, got the people, and came back without anybody finding out about it.
On schedule.
And I was like, Mom, I need to go to the library again.
Yeah,
And she's like, why? And I'm like, I finished Philippians and Hebrews last night. My book reports are in, and I need to get some more books on science. And then I go straight to Harriet Tubman. You know, I'm like flicking through the Rolodex, you know, like, give me some more, give me some more. Like, this lady is like the world's first thug. And then I find out, they're like, oh no, conductor, like the official conductor, it's not like a train.
The look on Ben's face was look on my face first time I heard that too.
Why did you call it a railroad then? Well, it was like metaphysically a railroad.
It was a metaphor.
So then I spent like the next year reading about metaphysics, and they're like, well, you're not actually here right now. You're just more likely to be here than you are to be somewhere else. And I'm like, so basically you motherfuckers are like Baptist preachers.
Afraid so.
Like, you just
Afraid
make,
so.
you just make shit up, and it sound good, and people give you money.
They said, what are we going to call this, what we're doing here? We're going to call it the Underground Railroad.
Right.
See, that's stupid. We haven't...
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Underground means secret.
Well, Ben has a lot of trouble with synonyms.
See, here's... Okay.
But again, I do...
No, you're absolutely right. But the thing about it is, it doesn't make it okay. Because...
No, it was a stupid synonym.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Just to confirm, for those who couldn't hear it, Sarah agrees. It was stupid. synonym.
It was a stupid turn of phrase.
Well, it's frustrating because from an outside perspective, when you're trying to talk about these things, words matter.
Yes.
The way we communicate with each other is based off of words. We are no longer cavemen. We no longer make guttural noises and draw crayon pictures. So when you say railroad, do you or do you not mean a goddamn locomotive on 2 iron tracks?
Or do you or do you not mean a route that is definite, that has a schedule that it runs on?
Right.
You don't mean those things? It's not a fucking railroad in any sense.
Right. And then if that's the case, then if 98.6 matters,
If that is a number that means something, in other words, if my fever is higher than this,
right,
then I have to take action.
right.
Then I need that to be a number that is backed by something other than your idea.
And also, dear American Medical Association, or whatever the fuck you are,
Right.
I understand that your book was originally written in 1850. But could we update it? It's 2020. I don't know if you guys heard, we have cell phones. Okay? We like so much is over the, like we have bottled water now. Can you imagine telling someone from 1850 that they're going to put water in plastic? Oh, right, you can't because they didn't have plastic.
Right.
Like, it's so dumb to consider that this is medicine. And then the doctors say, if you have a newborn, for instance, the doctors say, hey, if the fever gets up to 104, bring her in. It's life-threatening.
Right.
So you rush to the emergency room.
Right.
22 years old. Kid's got a 104 fever. Kid is under 12 months old. You rush to the emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, what do we do? Well, I mean, we're going to put some ice on it. And wait, it's a he. You can call it a he. You don't have to call it an it. Well, right. No, you're right, son. We're going to put some ice on him, and we're going to give him 2 aspirin. And I thought you said he couldn't have aspirin. Well, he can't have aspirin the rest of the time, but he can have 2 now. Are you going to inject the aspirin into him? No, we're gonna put him in the back of his tongue, and we're gonna hold his mouth shut until he swallows.
Like a dog.
Was that a scientific test you ran, Doc? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, and then what do? We'll just go home and wait and see what happens. But I thought you said it was life-threatening. If it's life-threatening, then why is go home and see what happens
an option?
Right. And this is where people would always say, Ben, you're too skeptical.
Well.
But see, the thing about it is, you've met me. I'm
Yeah.
actually not at all skeptical.
Not at all.
If someone walks up to me and says, hey, I'm the Prince of Persia, I'm like, fuck yeah, you are.
I am absolutely more skeptical than Ben.
Yeah, like, come on in, Prince.
I am so much more skeptical than Ben.
Like, I believe everything. You know, people walk up to me and they're like, my dick's bigger than yours. And I'm like, you know what? It probably is. Like, you want to measure? You know, like I got a ruler in here. And it claims, like most white men, that 3 inches is actually 7.5.
It works.
But
that's science.
That's because you got to measure from the balls.
It's the inner shaft.
But see, the thing about it is
that's the part that counts.
That everybody acted like I was insane.
Yeah, it is true.
And it's like, guys, I'm using all the same words you are, and I'm trying to play by your rules. So is 104 a dangerous temperature or not? And the doctor's like, well, we don't actually know. I just want to look at him.
That is literally, I would be very much in Ben's face right now if I hadn't heard. Okay, different story.
You want to look at him.
My daughter, her fever was 100.1.
Right.
Low grade fever.
So according to my 3 children, you shouldn't be anywhere near the doctor's office.
I shouldn't even call the doctor.
Correct.
I do, because I love my kids.
Okay.
And so I call the doctor and say 100.1.
Yeah.
Should I come in? They're like, no, don't bother me with that bullshit.
Okay.
And I go, I'm sorry, and I hung up the phone.
Okay.
So 3 days later,
that was a really good John Mulaney joke you just did there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't know if anybody caught that besides Ben, but yeah, it was John Mulaney. So I do 100. I did call back at 3 days later, 100.1 guys. Still don't come in. It's not that big of a deal. Like, wait at least 2 more days. Like, okay, fine. So 2 more days go by. It's 5 days. 100.1. I'm bringing her in. Like, what? Shut up. I'm bringing her in. I bring her in to the emergency room because the doctor doesn't give a fuck. I have a doctor there who is bored. So he goes, all right, she has 100.1. She looks pretty good. I'm just going to run some blood work just because I can. So he runs some blood work, and her white cell count is almost at the bottom. Like, it's extremely low. He goes, that's funny. He comes back to me, and he's like, you know what? Her white cell count's a little bit low. What's your pediatrician's name? Send my pediatrician Nacogdoches. Why don't you go ahead and call her? So he calls the pediatrician. My pediatrician is not available. We get another pediatrician who is what I call a zebra doctor. You know, she's one of those doctors that hunts zebras instead of looking for horses.
Right.
So she's always looking for some incredible disease to diagnose.
Okay.
This says the white cell count is what? Okay, send her to Texas Children's. Lifeliner.
Hold up.
Yeah. It's like, well, she has 101. I know where she has low-grade fever. Her white cell count is at the bottom. I think she has cancer. She's going to die in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Take her to Texas Children's.
All right.
So we take her to Texas Children's, and they look at her and go, yeah, your doctor is right. She's going to die.
Wow.
Literally. To me and my wife. And we're sitting there, what?
Yeah.
Did we wait too long? And they said, yeah, you actually did. She has a virus that's it's suppressing her immune system. She could have been dead at any time. Any infection could kill her right now. And so they pump her full of prophylactic antibiotics for like a week. And we just have to sit there and hope that she rebounds. And this was 100 point. It never got above a low-grade fever. But that low-grade fever nearly killed my child. Now, how many of you listening right now know that a low-grade fever can kill your child? Raise your hand if you knew that before I said it. I don't see any hands that go up in this room.
Right.
And we all got kids except for David.
Right.
So most parents, I would say, don't know that. If you're listening now you know. A low-grade fever, 100.1, 100.5, is not negligible. If that bitch goes on for longer than 2 days, you better get her to the emergency room. Him or her.
Right.
Because you could be putting your child's life in danger. And that's something that science, medicine, told me wasn't a thing.
I hope you sent the bill for the hospital to that stupid doctor who told you that 100.1 didn't mean anything.
It was all of them. It was all of them. See, that's my other part of it. It's not even that it's not science. It's the fact that it's not science, and they're going to charge me for it.
Just so
They
you know,
charge me for not knowing.
our live listener, Adrian, etc. 2K10
Hey,
on
Adrian.
Instagram, confirms, not me.
Didn't know. Thank you,
know.
Adrian. I appreciate your input, Adrian. Yeah, like I don't think because that's not what we're told. You know, we're not, but we are told that they know what a dangerous fever is. You know, like they want us to believe that, but they don't actually know. And
Right.
there's so many things that they don't know. I'm wondering why on earth I have insurance.
Right.
Like I pay a lot of money for health insurance. For
Right.
fucking what?
Right.
I'm waiting for broke legs at this point to use my health insurance.
Well, and again, we can't get into insurance and science in the same day. But I think what we're trying to say
That's way
is
exhausting.
not that we don't need doctors. I mean, you needed the doctors in that case to keep your daughter alive. I have also needed doctors to keep my kids alive.
Yeah.
I think some of this has to do with perception. In other words, as we've gotten smarter faster, as we've gotten more technologically advanced, and I would like to say we're smarter than we were, but
I would immediately want to take exception to that, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to.
because you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of us are sure that we're smarter, but technologically we're moving quicker, and we seem to be doing more things that keep us alive longer.
Yes, I would say that I will probably outlive my current lifespan that I would have had if I was born in, say, 1930.
Right. Yeah. And so, to me,
I'd be dead already.
but the perceived
I'd have been hung, but I'd have still been dead.
the perceived information that we're trying to interact with, and I think that's where some people misunderstand, is that it's not that I want the knowledge to be correct every time. It's I want the knowledge to be able to interact with you appropriately.
Yes,
And
In other words, if you don't know, which is a perfectly viable answer
right,
to life's questions, I don't know.
yeah,
I want to know that you're trying to find out the answer with me.
right,
You know, like you're actually trying to get better rather than saying, well, I don't know, and that's okay, and we're not going to research anymore. Like, in other words, okay, how did it take 170 years to figure out that the human body is getting colder? It should have been from 98.6 to 98.1 to 97.9.
That is assuming taking the average of 1 million temperatures is even accurate enough to get a right number to begin with.
yeah,
Well, that goes back to, is it even fucking science?
right,
You know, it's like,
No, it's not. I mean, my personal opinion is that's not science, right? That's math.
that's math.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That is how averages work. It doesn't know how the goddamn human body works.
right,
Right.
Are we going to decide to figure out how the human body works, or are we just going to keep saying shit?
right,
You know, acupuncture does work for some people.
right.
Chiropractic definitely fucking works.
Right. Well, but that goes back to what we're taking for granted, the information we have, the fact that we don't understand the difference between an opinion,
Right.
a theory,
Right.
a statement.
Uh-huh.
Like the different, like for instance, you mentioned a couple podcasts ago, participles.
Yeah.
You know, like how many people know the difference or have read the difference between a past and present participle? You know, what is the difference between a verb and an adverb?
Right.
You know, and I say these things not to say that I'm educated, because I have clearly given the listener plenty of information to understand that I don't retain a lot of things that people consider serious
Actual
academia.
information.
Yeah, exactly. But the reality still is the same, that I did learn those things. I did learn how to dialogue with other people. I did learn how to dialogue and interact with the police officer, with the fireman, with the preacher, with my mom and dad, and how when I went to my grandma and grandpa's, I could not say the same things that I said to my mom and dad without my grandma and my grandpa getting upset.
Right.
And that I should not share with my grandma and grandpa the same information. Maybe I should not share that information with the neighbor.
Right.
You know, and so on and so forth. And yet, technology has advanced so fast that now we can't tell the difference between anything. And when you start looking at the facts we have, it's been so long since they've been updated, you can't help but wonder if they're actually facts or not.
Yeah, a term that gets bandied around about is common sense. You know, like common sense logic, common sense thinking, common sense knowledge.
Yeah.
Like those things don't exist anymore. And I don't mean they don't exist in the sense that in reality no one thinks the same or no one has logic. I mean that what you think that you know and everyone should know probably isn't the actual truth. Does
Right.
that, you know,
Yeah.
because we haven't reevaluated our common sense
Yeah.
in a long time.
Are we ready to take a...
Yeah.
We're just gonna take a quick break, guys, and keep going with this conversation. This second episode of Tattoo with Children at the PaynePoints podcast party.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. Cause a portion of its rap at the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the core is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm ain't a form of faith yet. I battle with the thought of my morals vacant. Turns out, don't confuse it with a turn up. Ain't eventually unless you count the burnt blunts. Burn up, I can do this Ric Flair stuff. You consider stir tough, I can never care enough. Care 11 kind of trouble when we're paired up. Apparently the fair started early, grab a bear stuff. My gears, clutch, and motor are all a rare cut. Basically with blood diamonds, ain't that hard to sell us.
know why? Cause I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter whether I'm cool or not. Just a taste of the word gives me the gut rock. It's not pop to just stop like a blood clot. Cause we're here to blow up like we came from a rock. Electronica, embezzled by hip hop. Here to kick ass until the heart stops. Hipsters put on their cool shades, and thrifters keep the money they've been paid. And drifters have nothing to say but mind lifters don't give a damn what they say.
Wait, undeceivable, shit's unbelievable. You never ever guessed you'd hear this mix, it's inconceivable. Ouch, too hot, baby, back out of the kitchen. This is what you love at wonderful, so daddy put your bitch. I'm a poisonous affliction with a fireball addiction. Man, it burns like hell and tastes like heaven. You say bold, itching. Now I got you campus itching. This is music for your children. If you never heard the cue before, you don't know what you're missing.
Hey!
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box. I carry the club like Neanderthal. The choir got everybody dancing, dog. Yell on that X, I'm a sentinel, standing tall. No time to stand still, please don't meander, dog. They're throwing jazz at me to challenge my rap savvy. I sway like Callaway, I'm ahead, you'll never catch me. Ain't worry about it unless I spit Christmas gifts. My crew lighting up trees, you a screw to this. Menage a Quad, the name of my team supreme. They biting now, so I'm tossing out teeth and rings. You said you wanted bling, flossing ain't what you mean. You got baby teeth, though they pulling wisdom from me. Get neutered, respect the shooter of medulla. Give an inch, I'll take 5,280 rulers. Royalty around me and mine, we all sires. Words in Paris, we hot, that's French fire.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box.
Doesn't matter if you're
Cooler, hottest than the cortisol, present better lose a box. Challenge my rap, Swabby, keep the first one.
Sing it out at street level. No boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and employ pure murder. Do I really have to sing this again? The state we're in, I admit it bears repeating. Authorities exist, the men are overflowing. Passive populists pretending like they never knowing that. Hard to forget if you're one hit by empire straight from left. Hard to ignore building implode if I own a stick for it. Hard to believe they buried boogeyman body as he but that was old cell phone helmet caps. Never one picture to prove it, yeah. Sing it out at street level. Low boost the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder. Are you ready? Wondering where to begin? First steps rejecting this so worthless system. Establishment persists, the harder we resist it. But ceasing to exist the moment we dismiss it. Yeah. Hard to convince significance of working with the minute. Hard to insist when we vice presence, keeping us extra careless. Expending ammo faster than can even be replenished. Enduring each side, ever extending, expanding more that's endless. Sing it out at street level. Now push the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and deploy pure murder. Sing it out at street level. Now push the bass and twist the treble. All our leaders lie and produce pure murder.
My name ain't Nike, but yeah, I rock. You know why? Cause I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter whether I'm cool or not. Just a taste of the word gives me the gut rock. It's not pop to just stop like a blood clot. Cause we're here to blow up like we came from a rock. Electronica, embezzled by hip hop. Here to kick ass until the heart stops. Hipsters put on their cool shades, and thrifters keep the money they've been paid. And drifters have nothing to say but mind lifters. Don't give a damn what they say.
Wait, undeceivable, shit's unbelievable. You never ever guessed you'd hear this mix, it's inconceivable. Ouch, too hot, baby, back out of the kitchen. This is glitchy love at wonderful, so daddy put your bitch. I'm a poisonous affliction with a fireball addiction. Man, it burns like hell and tastes like heaven. You say bold, itching. Now I got you campus itching.
And we're back with Tattoo with Children at the PaynePoints podcast party. Guys, I know I just, we probably angered a few people here, but we have been getting a little bit of attention. I appreciate all the attention that we get. You guys that have been listening to us, following us on our different streams here, I'm glad you were with us. We're going to be wrapping up a little bit. I've got Sarah back on the mic over here to wrap us up. Ben is actually speaking with his parents who dropped by. So, like, I'm just really excited about all the attention that this thing drew, intentional and unintentional. Like, I'm probably sure that they didn't know they were doing this, but they stopped by anyway, and that's just dope as hell to me. So, sorry, I didn't mean to use the H word.
It'll be okay.
I didn't mean to slip out.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So yeah, guys, I don't know if you've stuck with us for this long. Like, this has been a lot of fun. I think this was a success. We learned so much during the course of these two podcasts.
Did we?
And well, we did in the sense that you're going to be getting a lot more service. The listeners of PaynePoints and Tattoo with Children, you're going to be getting a lot more service going forward. We've learned some things that we can do. We learned some things that we can't do. And so that gives us the confidence to expand our reach into your lives, which is, no, that's what you really want. You really want more Flavor Ray, right?
Of course.
Sure.
Of course.
See?
They
Look at
want
that.
Flavor Ray on camera, and so the audience knows the cameras are on their way. Amazon promises that they'll be here extraordinarily soon.
We're going to
We
be
got that Prime going.
doing video streaming for you. We're going to be doing video, but we're going to post our podcast with the video on our YouTube channel, which you already have. We already have a YouTube channel.
We do have a YouTube
I
channel.
don't really talk about the YouTube channel too much because there's not much on it as
Yes.
far as video.
The
but-
podcasts do get posted there, but they're audio only with just the basic picture.
Yeah,
You know,
which
that's
is-
going to
which is
change.
kind of
Is
bullshit.
YouTube
We're
still a
doing
thing
this.
now that TikTok is taking
Oh
over?
God, yeah.
Is it?
TikTok
Yeah.
TikTok is still only like a minute tops.
Yeah, I mean, they have a live stream platform in there now, but they haven't opened it up yet.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not the big robust thing
I
that YouTube
Like,
is.
clearly have not used it enough to know.
Yeah, you guys may start seeing things like, Tattoo with Children on Twitch.
Yeah.
On, so many different possible places we could be doing this.
So literally, we're going to start just like a virus, just spreading everywhere. That's what we learned tonight. It's like we were like, oh hey, let's do IG, let's do
You're
Facebook.
going to have a 100.1 Tattooed with Children fever.
Like, we started on 2 streams, and by the end of the night here, we were on 8 streams. Like, that's how fast we spread like a rash. So the good news is that you're going to be getting more of
That is
that.
some really weird imagery to be putting out there for people.
Because I want
This
them
is what we do.
I want them to know what they're in for. Like, it's like, this is
I
great.
think they already do. I mean, just
it's-
look at the pictures you guys post for your Instagram. I think it says that all. It says it all right there. There's
Dude.
no mystery.
And there's going to be more food porn. Like, that's the other part about it. Is like, dude, like,
Can we just take the food off that? Just be like, there's going to be more porn of all kinds.
no, we can't do that, Mike. We can't do.
I mean,
like,
it's already explicit content.
I'm not going
well,
to
yeah,
tell
I mean,
the
don't
people.
go in the gutter, right? Don't go in the. There's earth porn. There's space porn. Which is not something that happens on Star
I'm
Trek.
not-
It's,
I am a former astronomer, and so
Where are
space
Marky and
porn
Becca?
is a thing.
well,
but I'm not going to do
actually,
space porn.
surprisingly enough, Mark My Soul Art just joined the live video.
Marky.
Did she?
So Marky
Marky's
is
in
there.
Oh my
Marky,
God.
what's
Marky,
up, baby?
please say hi.
It is too much
Marky,
testosterone up in here.
straight up, Marky, I missed you so. This whole thing was a borderline disaster, quite frankly, because you weren't here. You've got to do the
This
extra
is such
with
a
me.
bullshit thing to say. You just said this was so amazing.
I know, and yeah, that's exactly what I meant, except for the fact I didn't. What I meant to say was, God, I wish Marky was here.
Oh my god.
Marky says hi.
Hi,
There
Marky.
are, I believe that is 6 eyes in hi.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Isn't there a whole theory about this? Like, like you say, hey, it means one thing, but you say, hey, and however many Y's there are means something?
Yeah, there's like it's like
That y'all are
hey.
full of crap,
There's
is
like
what it
hey. There's like hey. It's still all means so many different things. All
Hey,
that
girl,
all that to
hey.
say, guys. We have had a tremendous ball tonight. This party was just what I wanted it to be. I'm very happy with it, and I'm going to expand on this tremendously to get this conversation to go in the direction it needs to go and to reach as many people as possible, and because I love you people. I love talking to you. Any closing thoughts there, Sarah? You got that look on your face like you're thinking of something.
I mean, this is just my face, pretty much. But
It's, the look on her face was, this is kind of...
no, I'm trying to compute just everything that's kind of happened tonight. It's been an interesting, our format is so much more like, formal, I suppose.
Yeah.
Considering,
Pain points
Like
a bit
very
more formal.
structured.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can tell the personalities involved are a little different, but I do like this because it's not nearly as much pressure. It's like
Yeah.
I've told Ben and Mike before after we've gotten done with our pain points of interest. I don't know what I could stand in front of an audience of 1,000 people and give a speech and not get nervous at all. But the minute somebody says, I'm going to hit record and we're going to record your voice,
You start
I have
to seize
panic.
up. Yeah.
And I don't understand the mental whatever that goes on there. Like, why is it I can stand in front of live people and give a speech to 1,000 people and it's not an issue? But then Mike's all like, okay, we're going to get ready. And the minute he holds up his hand and starts counting it down and it's like, I'm going to have a panic attack.
Like-
what is that? What is that?
I don't know. Like, but that's one thing I want to learn tonight. Like, there
but
was
it's-
some video that was taken tonight, and part of the reason why we didn't video stream is because I didn't know how to react to video. Like, I didn't want there to be a camera in here and then me, stare into it or do something fucking weird. But we were recording a little bit of video earlier, and I didn't give a fuck at all. I just kept going the way I normally would. So
Yeah, I kind of sprung that on you.
yeah, you really did.
Well,
It
my whole
started.
point with that was earlier was that I was, because of how informal this conversation happens, there's not this pressure to say it right or to
Yeah.
even sound intelligent half the time.
Yeah, no, you ain't
Oh,
you
wow.
ain't gotta be right. You ain't gotta be smart.
I can see that point.
That ain't what I'm about.
We may need to restructure pain points of interest a little
I
bit.
mean, maybe
you
so.
know.
Maybe this is
Maybe
this is-
my problem is the reason I'm not feeling like we're getting a lot of pickup there is because I'm striving to be intelligent, and that's not what our audience wants. Our audience wants me to be an idiot.
I don't know. I ain't got no time for that bullshit.
well,
You
maybe
you
it's
got,
just
got your got your book learning. You got your experience. Fuck all that. What you have for breakfast? How did that affect what you're doing right now? That's what we want to know.
Oh,
That's
that could
actually
be an
a really good
interesting
point.
thought. Hey, I
That
had
is-
oatmeal and
Have
toast
you ever- have
and
you
We're
ever-
coffee.
recording again Monday. Topic
Have you ever
number
tried to
one.
put on a
How
top-
does your breakfast affect your business life?
Have you ever tried to put on a tight condom in the dark? That good information.
Okay, all right. We're gonna from now on,
Okay.
Sarah, you're not gonna be picking the topics from Reddit. We're gonna send Ray a text.
Okay, yeah, 5 topics to talk about on Pain Points of Interest, and he'll just send us random shit that probably has nothing to do with business.
None
We're gonna get a
whatsoever.
text Monday morning. Have you ever seen the serial numbers? And we're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, it's gonna be
And
great.
try to somehow, it's like a challenge. Like a writing prompt. It's like a challenge to tie it into small business somehow.
Make a podcast out of this, tied with small business from this point. That's
That would
your
be-
challenge.
That would be so epically awesome, but also like terrifying because we could get there and be like, I have nothing to say about. I have no. I
have
cannot
no
connect
idea
That's
point
actually a
A
really-
and point B.
That's a really like beautiful idea that I think we actually meant what you just said about take a writing prompt, right, and turn it into tie it to business somehow. I think that is one of the most interesting ideas I've ever heard.
I'm gonna take credit for it right now.
And Sarah gets credit for it.
Sarah gets
absolutely,
credit for
100%.
it for sure.
I do want Flavor Ray to come up with some writing prompts for us
That would be
on
hilarious.
this. But
That would be so funny.
If you think about the idea of pain points of interest, right? It sounds like an old timey thing where they would take a writing prompt and see how they could.
It
just
does.
wrap it up in
It has an
business.
old timey radio vibe to it.
Yeah.
So we need
So-
like an old timey radio announcer, like
Yeah. It's
voice. I don't have that, but
Welcome to Pain Points of Interest. I am your host, Flavor Ray. Tonight, we're going to be discussing, have you ever thought about the fact that your, I don't know. Actually, I lost it right there. I did have one. I did have
You
a
were
good one.
so close.
I did have a good one
You
in there.
know, remember when we were growing up and in the morning I would be getting ready for school and getting ready for the bus and it'd be like 6 o'clock in the morning and there was a dude on the radio.
Yeah.
What was his name?
It was,
Do you know he would do like the Farmer's Almanac and the news and
yeah, it was, oh, God, that guy's
do you know
name
how-
was.
But his
yeah.
voice is ingrained in my head. I can hear it right now. I can hear it in my head.
Was it the local
This is,
NPR station?
yeah, no, it wasn't NPR. It's the Texas Country Reporter guy.
Yes. What was his name?
I'm losing it.
But it is such an iconic voice. If any of you listening have ever, if you're old enough and you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, Texas Country Reporter.
It was the most iconic voice, and every time I
He
think
got
of
Bob Phillips
Was it Bob Phillips?
presented. That was the TV show
No.
presented by Bob
this
Phillips.
came on in the morning.
It was in the morning.
on the radio at like 6:30 in the morning. And it was like the daily forecast and the news tidbits and the Farmer's Almanac. And he
Yeah.
had such a booming radio voice. It was like, the iconic, the MGM trailer guy. The
Yeah,
guy who
yeah,
does
yeah.
the trailer. It was like that, but it was this dude.
In a world.
Yeah.
But
it
yeah.
was so like, you can just pick, like, it's like Morgan Freeman's voice. You can just picture that and hear it in your head, regardless. And the fact that I cannot remember his name completely just sort of deflates the whole balloon.
I'm certain my wife can actually would just know it right away. So I'll ask her later on, and then I'll put it on Twitter what the answer is. All right, guys. This has been the Pain Points podcast party, and we've done it mostly with Tattoo with Children, but we also did it with Pain Points. And we're gonna wrap this up by me just saying thank you for tuning in. You can find Tattoo with Children on Facebook at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Instagram at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Twitter at Tattooed With. You can find me on Twitter at Hunter Vanguard. That's one word, Hunter Vanguard. You can find me on IG at Madara Shadow. You can find Ben on IG at Black Crow Brother and also at Black Spot Tattoo Company. You can find Sarah on IG at Lightrider
2012.
Thank you. And also, what was your other one? Did you have another one? I thought you had two.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. just a light writer. Go ahead and follow Light Writer because she's a photographer and an artist and she does really dope shit all the time. You can find Mike Payne at CAO Payne on IG and also at Payne.points. That's Payne spelled Payne. Also, you can find us on Patreon. All right. So all this stuff here we did tonight, like we redid the studio for you guys. To tell you the truth.
Yeah,
and
this place was a bloody mess.
It was a bloody mess, and it's not a. You've noticed you haven't heard any dogs barking.
Yeah,
we took care of a lot of
That's
shit.
such a reprieve.
Okay, the dogs are okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
They've just been moved to
We
a
did
different room.
not take them out back
No.
and old yeller them. We did not do that.
No. They're
Oh.
sweet puppies, so we're not going to do anything bad to them, and they will be back for the next recording. Don't worry about it. But we did do some work for you guys. It did cost a little bit of money, a small chunk of change. You can help defray that cost if you want to by going to Patreon and just search for Tattoo with Children and dropping $5, $10, $20, $50, whatever you give, I will give you something back. I can guarantee you that. And for those of you who don't give anything, you still get a lot of shit because we're now going to be posting on YouTube. Starting
Video.
sometime.
We're going to be doing video.
On YouTube. We already posted a video. We're going to on YouTube, but we're actually going to be posting video, and maybe some more streaming. We'll be doing some streaming every once in a while, since we got the capability.
Oh
That
yeah,
sound
no,
good,
I
babe?
mean I think that's a really great idea to do
we're
some
gonna be streaming
streams.
live every once in a while. So guys, this is a great time to get involved with Tattoo with Children. We're almost 60 episodes in, and we're just getting started. This is pretty fucking awesome, and I love you guys for being a part of it. So please remember to take care of yourselves before you take care of others. And that's a wrap.
Yeah, it's been good.
It's been great. Thank you all very much.
We'll
We'll
catch you
see
guys
you next time.
on Monday.
Yeah.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some warm cervases. The important